So Nick, I don't know if I told you this, but I was recording that entire time, and I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to release probably the most boring podcast that anybody has ever listened to.
Oh, please don't. Nobody wants to hear the conversation we just had, okay?
It was about. Well, it's about gay porn. But no, actually, welcome everybody to the Rage Lake Podcast. I am Jeff. And
I am Nick Hodges.
Nick Hodges, you're back. And not only are you Nick Hodges, you're the world famous. That's just History Buffs' Nicholas Hodges. Nick, after what seems like to me, it's been so long that you've been talking about this. Your first video is up. It's there. It's on YouTube. I can go to it right now and go into the comments and talk about how your hair is dumb or whatever people talk about.
You know,
on YouTube.
You know what? What is so weird? Like, I had been planning this thing for so long to promote the first episode that when the episode was ready to go, like I sorted out all the copyright claim rubbish or whatever, I was hesitant to press the upload button for some reason. You know what I mean? Like, because it's something I've been working on for so long, and just like, I don't know. I've been spending months just planning this. Like, do I really want to press click now?
Yeah, I totally understand that. It's been an awful long time for me since that first day that I put up my first video that was like that. But I think that so when we started Rage Select, you know, it's like Jason and I we took like 3 days off, and then we were just like, all right, we need to go to double recording and get this shit on the road. But yeah, I know that especially I remember back in the old days over at Spill talking with Kevin, and because Kevin's like our old, you know, he's like the pro, right? He's the vet. He's the podcasting vet who's been doing this for so long. And Kevin once said to me one day, he was like, you know, dude, sometimes you have to just put it up and see what happens. He's like, you can do this stuff, and you can edit, and you can mess with it, and you can mess with it. You can re-record it. You can re-record it, and you can say, this wasn't good enough or that wasn't good enough. But sometimes you just have to go and you have to see what happens. And you've done it. And Nick, I feel like a proud father today. I'm so proud of Nick Hodges and his YouTube channel.
that means so much, especially after all those fucking podcasts that have come in, and you'd be like, how's it going? Like, you got anything to say? No. Okay, well, we'll find out next time.
Yeah.
And finally I get to say, like, yes, it's up. I'm not planning shit anymore. I'm doing it, and I'm uploading frequently.
Mm-hmm. You know what you need to do is okay, so you have a YouTube channel that has one video that's very niche, and it's very about a certain thing. My dad has a YouTube channel that's very niche, and it's all about this one certain thing. And my dad likes history, and you like history, and you're both named Nick. You could make a show called A Couple of Nicks. You could podcast.
No, it could be Nick and Nick.
Nick and Nick. It's Nick, and they could be like, which one is the first one? It'll be like, just I don't know. But no. Okay. Well, before we go any further, how are people going to be able to find your channel?
Okay. Well, let's just have a look. Well, if you type in like History Buffs on YouTube, I'm like the fifth one down.
Yeah.
The first review I did was of Zulu.
Okay.
So that's quite an obvious thing to find. So if you go onto YouTube, type in History Buffs, that should be like the fourth one down. There's only one History Buffs with a Zulu review on it. But I'm also on
you're not Ken Stringfellow History Buffs? You're not the Guild Wars 2 Achievement Guide History Buff?
No, I'm not. I'm just the one History Buffs guy. And on Facebook, I'm on like www.facebook.com History Buffs London. Mm-hmm. So it should be easy to find there. And I should be uploading a video like every Saturday. Well, the last video I uploaded was like last Saturday. So it should be like every 2 weeks I should have a new video out. The reason why is because it takes me like about a week to thoroughly research the historical time period that the film is being based on. Mm-hmm. It's not like a movie review where I'm just giving out my opinions. I don't want to be that dickhead who just gives off like wrong information about a film when I'm trying to give historically accurate.
Hey,
right, what?
Hey, I'm that dickhead. All right, let's
No,
not.
no.
Let's
I said movies. Okay, I did not say video game players. I have the high respect for you. I mean, like, you know what? I used to be a video game critic. God damn it! All right, why would I slag myself off?
You took an arrow to the knee. No, I can always say that. I could definitely say that it's something that I've always struggled with about the amount of research that you want to put into one specific thing. And there are totally days on this show where I just am talking directly out of my asshole. But yeah,
you mean like you just go on Wikipedia and just like looking at the first summary?
It mostly just comes down to this idea. I was talking with somebody on the website about this idea that it's very difficult to know a lot of times how much information when you're doing an off the cuff show like this, right? If you're doing a scripted show, well, fucking, go research your shit, asshole, right? You could do 100 takes, write a script, right? But when you're just doing a show where you're just jammering to other people, in front of a TV or on Skype or something like that, it's hard to know exactly when you're going to need what information and what level of detail of information are you going to need in case somebody's like, so Nick, who was the costume designer on Zulu? And then you're like, dude, I don't know that. I was researching the actual history. And but no. So History Buffs is going to be. I think that I don't know if we've actually gone. Let's go over it again. Let's go over. I can't be assured that everybody listens to every episode of the Rage Select podcast. So.
Okay.
So this is going to be a show about. You're going to be reviewing mostly different crisps from the UK, right? It's like chili cheese Doritos or wasabi Funyuns, right? That's in the history of wasabi Funyuns. They first came around in 2011, right? Is that the history?
Actually, I think that would have been a more popular show than what I'm doing, to be honest. Because a lot more people eat Funyuns than like history. I'm convinced of that.
That's I gotta. It's weird, man. It's so weird that you're doing this because over the last. Grant turned me on. Have you ever listened to the show Hardcore History on? It's a podcast that this guy does. This guy named Dan Carlin.
Maybe it sounds familiar to me.
He's an American dude. He does these real long, kind of in-depth like history shows. He also has a political show that I listen to. But like I got done listening to his World War I history podcast was like they were like 3.5 hour episodes, and there were 6 of them. So you're talking like 18 to 20 hours worth of podcast. But the thing is that I to this day, it's one of my pet peeves that he just goes and he'll read excerpts from people's biographies of some of the generals and some of the people that were involved in this place, and he kind of tries to give the whole thing or parts of it, like he does ones that are smaller, but he'll try to give the whole thing a context, and it's immensely entertaining. And I look at this, and every time my dad Nick comes into town, we invariably at some point get onto this topic of why should history be boring? Why? How? It's like they did this.
It shouldn't be. When I was in school, I thought of history as like a story, but like the biggest story of all time with like amazing characters. But the teachers get fucking bogged down on like dates and really boring shit. I mean, like I remember being taught about the Industrial Revolution, and they'd be talking about like the political feeling at the time. I'm like, why aren't you talking about like the British Empire, what was going on then, or the politics of America during the Civil War? Any of these amazing things, and they're hung up on the most boringest of details.
Yeah, it's a tragedy, man. Like, because the thing is that I remember going through school and coming out of it with basically no real, a loose framework of kind of what world history looks like, but no real specific details. And then it's like,
you know what pisses me off the most? When I've been taught a certain thing in school, and then like years later I'll look it up and then find out that they missed a really important part that would have changed my entire perspective of that certain time.
Yep.
Yeah. It's like a whitewashing of history, or their books are out of date. You know?
I think it's criminal because I don't think that history. I think that it's funny as I listen to this. I'm real impressionable from time to time, Nick. But I love listening to this hardcore history show because it makes these topics entertaining and it actually gives you a better context about where we've been, where we've come from as humanity goes. It gives you a better context about things that have happened over and over again in history. I mean, for fuck's sake, the guy had like a 5-part series about the Mongols, and I'm like, I didn't know shit about the Mongols because they were like Mongols, horses, and then Great Wall of China. All right, let's move on to the next thing. Boom, in history class, I'm like, fuck, this guy had like 5 parts on the Mongols, and they were like 2-hour, 3-hour long podcasts, and they were fascinating. Listens. So I,
you know what? I learned about the British Empire from fucking Zulu.
Mm-hmm.
I am not joking. Like when I was taught in school, it was like Romans, Iron Age Britain, and then it kind of jumps to sort of Tudor period, Elizabethan times, and then boom, Industrial Revolution. I remember the moment the teacher was saying like, well, by this point, Britain had the largest empire the world had ever seen. I'm like, wait, what? What the fuck are you talking about? Like, what about all this? You just jumped over. How the hell do we get from like a tiny little island having the largest empire in the world? Like, why did you skip over that? Like, why did I have to learn about how many fucking wives Henry VIII had and skip all the cool stuff, to get to the Industrial Revolution?
Yeah, but well, let's get back to the show. So you're going to be primarily doing videos about the history behind historical movies.
Yeah,
basically?
That's right. Yeah, I mean, like any time that I guess like you watch a movie based on some sort of historical time period, and you're thinking like, well, how accurate is this? Mm-hmm. Is this all Hollywood fiction, or did Hollywood get it right? So those are the kind of films that I would review, judge them as a film alone, how entertaining they are, but also provide the historical fact of like how accurate they were or how much bullshit they're based on. So like I don't know, with Enemy at the Gates, like how much. Yeah, I know that's a hot topic for you. So I would provide information about how wrong they got it.
Yeah.
Or with a film like We Were Soldiers, mm-hmm. I would say how right they got it up to a certain point. I mean, like there's a stupid moment in that movie where one of the white chicks figured out about racial segregation for the first time, even though the movie's set in 1964. And I really doubt that even someone who's got their head buried in the sand, they've never heard of Martin Luther King. So, like, the rest of the movie is, like, 100% spot-on accurate.
Mm-hmm.
But that one main moment where, like, you just sever any credibility this movie might have had by the stupid fucking white woman not knowing about racial segregation in 1964.
Okay, so what I'm wondering is how long until you get into, like, A Knight's Tale or some of the, or like some of the shit where it's like quotey fingers based on a true story, and then you just that's gotta just be like Christmas dinner for you, right? It's just gotta be like, oh man, this is gonna be fun. Like, all right, this movie is so full of shit that it can't even see out of the windshield.
You know what? There are so many times that I've been tempted to do those kind of movies because there was like that really bad alien horror movie with Mila Jovovich or whatever her name is. I forget the name of it.
The Fifth Kind? Is that what it was?
The Fifth Kind,
the fourth kind? The fourth kind? Is that what it was?
That's the fourth kind. They marketed it as like a real movie based on real interviews, and it's absolute bullshit, the whole of it. Unfortunately, if I did that movie, then I would just spend 5 minutes slagging it off, just saying like, that's bullshit, that's bullshit, that's bullshit, because there's not an ounce of shred of truth to it.
What I'm waiting for you to do is I need you to get into a direct. I need you and the Ancient Aliens guy to go directly head to head. I want to see the two of you on an interview show.
I hate that guy. I have no idea what happened to the History Channel because I used to love that show, but then they just started doing Swamp People, and now they do stuff that's not even based on history anymore.
Whoa, Nick, are you telling me that swamp people aren't a thing? Is that what you're trying to tell me? Surely you're not saying that swamp people aren't a real thing because, I fight off the chupacabra all day, every day. So
I know you're from Texas, but I don't think they're chupacabras, is all I'm saying.
No? You don't think so?
No.
Okay.
No, I think they're dogs.
Well, let's see. What else would you like to tell people? Your first video is up. You said you're planning on, I mean, hope I'm not, let the cat out of the bag here. You got some more that you got ready to go, so we're probably going to be seeing some. The first one is, as of us recording this, the first one went up 4 days ago.
It's Zulu,
right? And you've got some more coming up. Do you want to give us a hint for the next one? Or you want to keep it a secret? Keep it a secret.
Fuck it. I need the exposure as much as I can.
Okay.
The next one is going to be Gladiator.
Ah, there you go. This is weird, man. I feel like I talked about. Did you and I talk about Gladiator for like a half hour last time you were on the show?
Probably. I mean, I may have been like. I probably was thinking about doing it at the time, and I might have steered the conversation towards that area.
Okay. Well, you know what? I think that everybody should check these out. They're. I mean, damn, Nick. Like I would tell you, I wish I was this polished on my first go onto the internet.
Oh, you think so?
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Thanks, man.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm just starting off, but I wanted to make sure that they looked as professional as possible. So I've got some original music playing. I've got some basic animation. I mean, what I'm hoping that over time that I could implement more and more animation to make it have that professional polish to it.
Mm-hmm.
But basically, they're going to be 18 to 20-minute reviews on some of these very, very big movies. So any historical film that you absolutely love, that's big, that there's a strong chance that I'm probably going to review it. So whether they be good ones or shit ones. So
okay, so Red Dawn. That's what I want you. That's not the original, but the remake. I need to know that how much of the history of that was true, because I remember when the Russians invaded. Or no, the remake was like the North Koreans or something. I don't remember.
It was. No, it was originally meant to be the Chinese, and then they switched it to the North Koreans.
Oh yeah. I remember that. But yeah, everybody go check it out. Facebook.com/History Buffs London, and then if you go to YouTube and do a search for History Buffs, it's like the 5th video down. History Buffs Zulu. Check it out.
Thanks very much.
Hey, no problem. Hey, I would never tell anybody not to check out something that I didn't think was awesome. So, hey, there you go. Also, thanks. Doritos Taco Bell has a brand new Crunchwrap Nacho Supreme that I think that you all.
Nice.
I've lost like 20 pounds as I started eating that Crunch. No, please don't. I often worry, Nick, at the joke that we eat at Taco Bell all the time, because I only eat at Taco Bell like once every so often, but we talk about Taco Bell a lot here, and I worry that there's some people out there that are just like, I want to be like Jason. I want to be like Jeff, and they like eat at Taco Bell all the time. I feel like telling them, "Oh God, please don't eat at Taco Bell all the time."
It might not help that we don't have Taco Bell in England, so that's one of the reasons I'm craving it so much. I mean, I couldn't care less about any of the other fast food, but for some reason, Taco Bell is just like alluring. You know what I mean?
I don't want to get up on my political on a high horse or a side topic, or I don't want to go too far down this road, right? But like. You probably also don't have a national obesity epidemic in
Scotland does.
Scotland does. Do they have Taco Bell? Is that? Can we make it?
No, they don't. But they have this weird thing where they deep fry everything. Like they deep fry Mars bars is one. I know they do that.
I'm pretty sure we made that up. I'm pretty sure that Scotland ripped us off on that one. We deep fry.
Oh really?
Yeah.
Okay. For some reason, Scotland has the obesity problem. But you know what? England's not far behind. There's some really fat fuckers here.
Okay, well, I don't know. I fucking Taco Bell. All right, let's move on to the news. I'm sorry, I'm a little out of it today. I've been up all night trying to get stuff done. So the coffee is only just now starting to kick in. But we got a little bit of news. This might be a more compact. Nick, usually when you're on this show, you and I tend to ramble. But this
way too much. Yeah.
Today, there's not a shitload of news, so I'm hoping that the rambling is going to be a little bit less than usual. Mostly, we've just got a bunch of big trailers, and then we've just got a kind of an assortment of like a shitty nut assortment of news where it's mostly macadamia and Brazil nuts, and you're just like, this is why this nut's too goddamn big to be in my mixed nuts. So, but let's start out with something that kind of set the internet, not exactly. It's no Kim Kardashian's butt, but it's the Telltale Games Minecraft adventure game. Minecraft Story Mode is what it's called.
I don't think you could understate the reaction of the internet any more than that. You know, people are like, oh, okay.
Actually,
it's the fucking point of it.
Hey, did you? Okay, so I sent you the YouTube link to this. I don't know if you noticed, but like, so most of the time on YouTube, when you look at something that is not very controversial, right? Like we have an 18-minute gameplay demo of No Man's Sky that we're going to talk about in just a minute, right? But
nice.
That has 11,531 likes or like thumbs ups and 397 thumbs downs on YouTube. And generally speaking, when you come out with an official thing, that's kind of what you tend to end up getting, right? Is unless it's something that's very controversial or the internet just fucking loathes, you tend to get like 90% up thumbs and then like 10% down thumbs.
I bet you those 10% down thumbs were people clicking by accident.
No.
Like, oh shit, I meant to like it. Oh no, never mind.
As somebody who had a little run-in with down thumbs last week, I could tell you that that's not the case. But anyway, this Minecraft Story Mode trailer is like 27,000 thumbs up, but it's 14,000 thumbs down as of the recording of this, which is about a third, right? Well, more than a
yeah,
third,
that's a good chunk of it.
Yeah. And I actually, for a little while, I went through and I read the comments, and there is a lot. There is a lot of negativity in this YouTube comments. And I say that knowing full well that YouTube comments are very negative.
I know, people are slagging off the animation. I'm like, it's fucking Minecraft. Like, what were you expecting?
Well,
you know what I mean?
So here's the thing. That let's go over this trailer. It seems like, you know, for a game that traditionally doesn't have a shitload of story, like I think you guys can correct me if I'm wrong. I only ever played Minecraft as like in survival mode. I know that you could make the Nether portal and go kill the Elder Dragon or whatever, but that wasn't exactly. It wasn't like a narrative story. It was just like, hey, here's a thing that you can do and you should do it. Maybe there's a bunch of stuff that's behind the scenes that I'm not seeing when I play Minecraft. But this is like, there's like all these NPCs. And they've got dialogue and they've got like cities and a whole like. Oh, it's a culture, and there's a great cataclysm, and we've got to do our best, and blah, 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 blah. And it's like, what? It just seems to me almost like if I had any problem with this game, Nick, it would be that it's just not very Minecrafty to me. Like the whole point of Minecraft is kind of like Legos, and I guess this is like the fucking Ninjago storm, you know, of Minecraft, because I don't.
Well, you summed it up. It's actually like that Lego movie.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I remember when they announced that they were a Lego movie. I'm like, wait, what?
Yeah.
There's no fucking storyline with Lego. And yet they managed to make a really good movie. I'm not sure if this is going to be like that. I mean, I know it's Telltale Games, but like, and they're very good, but I'm not sure how they can make this like that gripping and compelling to people. You know, the whole point of Minecraft is that you decide what you want to do. There's no set narrative to it.
Yeah. You make a really good point with the Lego movie. I hadn't actually thought about that. I mean, I guess here before we get too far into it, when you watch this trailer, what do you think, Nick? Does it excite you? Does it seem interesting to you? Does it seem like something you would want to play? I mean,
I honestly, I just thought Lego movie the entire time. Like, it didn't necessarily grip me.
But is that a bad thing? I mean, I really like the Lego movie. I don't.
No. Like I actually, to be honest with you, I have never seen the Lego movie. It's one of my things to watch, though.
What? You haven't seen it?
Dude, like, there's so many other movies I need to see before.
No. Okay, so listen. I'm going to tell you this right. I'm just going to take a brief aside here. It's totally.
It's like, stop recording.
Yeah,
stop recording.
So turn it off for a second. We got to have a heart to heart about that. No, look, seriously. I don't want to build it up too much for you, but what I want to say is that, like, I had the same attitude as you had, and then all of my critic friends just wouldn't shut up about the Lego movie. And then I finally went and watched it. It is an incredibly enjoyable movie. Like I've seen it a few times. Like I've rewatched it a couple times. You know, that level of enjoyable, because the thing is that there's all of these different Lego universes that they totally put in there, and it does a couple things that are really like. Let me just say this. I highly recommend that you move that movie up in your list of stuff to watch, because I know that when you see it and you go, Lego movie, what the fuck, Lego movie? But when you watch it, it's totally and completely worth watching. It's funny. It's got a good story. It's got a nice heart. It's got some interesting twists in it, and it's got a good ending. I know all that from when you're at the place where I was sounds weird when you're talking about the goddamn Lego movie, but it's really very good. You should really go watch it.
Yeah, you know what? All right, okay, I'll do that. I mean, like, I need another good. I need another feel-good movie. You know, I mean, there's only so many times you can watch The Goonies over and over again. So.
Right, it's totally a feel-good movie. Also, you know, Chris Pratt is the main guy in there. It's got fucking. Just watch it. Just watch it. Just.
All right, I will.
Anyway, back to Minecraft. I didn't actually think I would be that emphatic about it, but I think one of the most interesting things about this is that, you know, the Minecraft characters are a little bit more detailed. Like, the world actually seems like it's fairly close to what you see out of normal Minecraft. Like, there's a few places where there's some lighting effects that are a little bit more sophisticated, or there's a few pixels that are smaller. But the main difference to me seems to be that because the characters in Minecraft, well, the stock characters, that's not true. I've seen characters you can buy online, but the stock characters in Minecraft are just bricks. They don't have any of that kind of like detail in their face, as near as I can tell. Or at least that was the last time that I played what it was like. I haven't loaded up Minecraft in a little while, but I don't know, you know. This may be a very unpopular thing that surprise, surprise, gets a bunch of people angry at Jeff on the internet, but I kind of feel like Telltale is like you know, the first season of Walking Dead was very good, but it was really overhyped. People would not stop talking about how great of a game it was. And when I went back and I finally played it,
I disagree with that. I really liked The Walking Dead, and I hope The Wolf Among Us is amazing. I played Jurassic Park. I didn't particularly like it.
Yeah.
So that's why I'm not just accepting that everything they put out is going to be gold. You know.
Actually, you know what?
Because of Jurassic Park.
Because of Jurassic. Well, that was the last one they made kind of before they started in on Walking Dead, and before they kind of started doing, you know, the sort of thing they're doing. Like, actually, you know, I played Tales from the Borderlands, the first episode of that, or I played a little bit of the first episode from that. It was really fun. I think that I just have I don't. You know what the problem is, Nick, is that I don't want to play these games one episode at a time.
Neither do I. I always wait for them to come out all at once.
And I think that by the time they've all come out, by the time that they're released, is one pack. Like The Wolf Among Us, right, is already out. Or I think that Game of Thrones season 1 might be either close to or finished. But by that time, it's like I've moved on from that. It's like I don't feel like going back to that. I don't know what the solution is for that. I guess I just feel really fatigued about their games. Because they're very similar. Like, they all play kind of in a similar way. They've got these kind of quick time events, and then you've got the story stuff, and then you walk around, and it's kind of a light puzzle game. And I guess for me it kind of ends up being a little bit like the what was I thinking the good comparison would be? Like Dynasty Warriors, right? Where the whole draw of Dynasty Warriors is finding a flavor of Dynasty Warriors that you're really into. Like, I don't really care about OG Dynasty Warriors, right? But I like the Gundam Dynasty Warriors quite a bit. So maybe it's like, well, if you care more about Fables, then you should do this one. Or if you care more about Walking Dead, you should do this. Or Game of Thrones, you should do this. But I don't know. There's something about them that, like, I guess I would just be interested in playing this game all the way through. The other thing I wonder about this is if they're going to have any of the elements of Minecraft incorporated into it, any of the mining and crafting and stuff like that. I mean,
I have no idea. I'm sure they will, but they won't take up that much gameplay time. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I don't. The thing is, because I've never played Minecraft and it hasn't been something that I particularly wanted to do, that this doesn't exactly appeal to me. So it's not marketed towards me. So I can't judge one way or another.
Yeah, I mean, I've played Minecraft and I dig it. I'm not as far into it as I bounce, right? Like I don't stay with one game for any long period of time. I bounce between games all the time, so I don't know. But in any case, I'm interested. You know what? I'm really interested. I'm really interested to know what the viewership thinks. What you Rage Select fans think about this. Like, are you guys excited by this? Are you not excited by it? I mean, are you somewhere in the middle? You just blah about it? Because I think that I'm just blah about it, where I'm like, I don't know, it seems all right. Maybe we'll play it on a dojo and see what's going on with it. But I guess if it's just going to come down to another exactly kind of the same Telltale game, I don't know how many of those I'm really interested in playing back to back. I don't know if I really just want to play the exact same game just with a different story and different mechanics. And maybe there was something in The Wolf Among Us that I never got to, or there's something in Game of Thrones I never got to. But it seemed like quick time events and then the character dialogue and then walk around in a...
Maybe you should try Back to the Future.
I did. It was very similar to all the rest of them.
Was it good? Because I was actually going to play that.
It was. I never got past the second. I got to the end of the second episode, and then again, that was one of the other problems that I had with episodic gaming is that the second episode ended, and I kind of just my brain was like, "Well, where's the next one?" And I was like, "Well, you have to wait, brain." And my brain was like, "Well, fuck that. I'm not going to remember any of this horse shit." And so,
I thought you were a Back to the Future fan.
I am Back to the Future fan. I guess they reused the same environment for the second and third one. I really like the way it started. Like it starts with the little, like all the musical stingers and everything, and the DeLorean. All the beginning of that game is fucking
the clocks as well.
Yeah,
ticking away. So.
It's fantastic. The problem is that I don't know. Maybe I'm just not into adventure games as much as I used to be, or maybe I just don't like the Telltale version.
Old, you know.
Yeah, I don't know, man. Like this week I put a good 20 hours into the Final Fantasy 14 MMO. I mean, for fuck's sake, I've got a pretty high tolerance for repetitive horse shit. I guess that I don't know. One of these days, maybe I'll sit down and just marathon through all the Telltale games because they don't take a whole hell of a long time to get through. But anyway, enough of that. Next up, this is another one that I feel like I'm going to be not making a whole lot of friends with. We had an 18-minute demo for No Man's Sky over at IGN, where...
Yeah. No, funny enough, this is one of the few videos that I actually rewatched many times before you actually sent the link to me.
Mm-hmm.
I know you're excited about this game, right?
I don't think I am anymore, Nick.
Why?
I don't think I am anymore. Well, because here's the thing. My levels have gone from excitement to, over the last coverage, the more that I see of this game. Because, okay, so we got an 18-minute developer run. It's Sean Murray from Hello Games, and he's running people through No Man's Sky for 18 minutes. Okay, as near as I can tell, the point of this game is looking at fish and then registering those fish, right? And then, making sure that you get enough ore to be able to upgrade your ship so that you can go to different planets and look at different fish. There's a part in this game where the developer kills a goat that he has seen. And instantaneously, like magic...
a robot appears.
Yeah, this one robot appears and starts shooting him. So he shoots the robot, and then 2 robots appear, and he starts shooting them. And then 5 robots appear, and then he's dead. And he's like, and the guy who's with him there, he's like, well, how could you have avoided this? He's like, well, we could have gotten our ship and run away from the planet. It's like, well...
That's not the point of the game, though, Jeff. The point of the game is to explore...
right.
To be that first person or that planet that no one else has ever been to.
Right. But so here's the thing. I recognize that. I think that's interesting. I think that the problem that I have with that is that what exploration means in this game is looking at things and hitting a button. It's not because you have a ship and a jetpack and a laser gun and stuff like that, it's not a game like Minecraft, right? Where you're trying to fashion the things to help you survive. There's a whole genre of those types of games. There's a whole bunch of games where you have to figure out how to build the right stuff in order to be able to survive.
Survival, right?
Right,
Survival game.
Right. So it's not a survival game, right? Because you can get your ship and you can fly away, and your ship has lasers on it and stuff like that, right? It doesn't appear to be like a combat-based thing because and again, here I'm basing this on very limited information, but what I'm judging a lot of this on, Nick, is a lack of certain other things. So maybe later on they're going to show us a crafting menu where there's a modular crafting system where you can basically build your own ship and you can customize it to do what you want to. You can make big ships or little ships. You can do whatever. Maybe there's a place where you can build different guns. Maybe there's an arena where players can fight each other over who gets to have the discovery of this particular land.
I don't think so, because I've been really enamored with No Man's Sky and watching all the videos, and it seems to me like you can customize your weapons, you can customize your ship, but you can't create anything. It's all about just giving you the tools to go out on your own and to make a name for yourself in this game.
Right.
And I mean, it feels like a giant science experiment, because the fact that this game is built off of I figure it was called a mathematical equation where there are billions of planets that you could visit,
right?
And even though that everyone plays online, there is hardly any chance at all that if you were to play and I was to play, we would ever bump into each other, or could ever bump into each other, or bump into anyone else for that fact.
Yeah, I guess so. Okay, so you know what? I want to make myself really clear when I talk about this, because I think that here's the thing. I think that the initial trailer that we were shown of No Man's Sky gave me the wrong impression. I think that I saw that, and I saw the part where you fly up into space, and then he's shooting lasers at the thing, and I go, okay, well, there are lasers in here, so you're going to get to shoot some stuff eventually. So there's going to be the shooting part. We just haven't seen the shooting part yet, but I think that what I'm wondering about and what I'm curious about is if the entirety of, if the main way that you're getting stuff is by flying places and looking at stuff and then registering that stuff as my discovery, to me that's going to get old in a hurry, because
not if you name the planets after genitals or something. I'm sure that you could have a blast with that.
Well, after Ballsack Alpha 5,
or Cocktopia.
Yeah, we've got. I mean, yeah, you could go find a planet, and name everything after wangs and titties and shit. But and that sounds awesome, right? I guess here's the thing: is it's not necessarily I look at this game and I want to play it. What I'm actually just what's keeps going around over and over in my mind is what's going to keep me playing it, right? So I fly to a planet, I find a bunch of goats and fish and rocks and shit, and I get them, and great, and I've seen them, and I register them, and I've done it, and I get my ship, and I go and I do some upgrades. I go to the next place, so I go to the next place, and then there's more rocks and birds and fish and goats and shit, and so I look at all of them, and I register them, and then I get some more minerals, and then I make my ship go upgrade. By about the fourth time that you're doing this, right, there's got to be I guess the thing is that intrinsically
some payoff, basically.
Well, not necessarily even payoff, but there's an intrinsic human reward in your brain that you get for just violence in video games, right? It doesn't have to be like shooting some, a Koreans in the face because you hate Korea. It doesn't have to be that. It doesn't even have to be anything. But there's some intrinsic, you can give somebody a game like Robotron, right? Robotron is a bunch of pixels shooting pixels at other pixels, right? That game is fun. Geometry Wars is completely abstracted. You're like, but you will sit there and you will say, man, fuck those purple guys. I fucking hate those purple guys with a little spitty. Oh, I'm going to get you, purple guys, because of the challenge that's there. And so my question, I guess, is, or what I keep wondering and what I think this interview keeps kind of solidified in my mind, was what exactly looking at stuff and registering it eventually is going to get old, right? There's going to come a time where the rote action of landing on a planet, getting out, walking around, looking at stuff, and then registering that stuff is just going to become business as usual. So you go, after that, why do you keep going? And there was actually a part of this interview that had me very worried at the end, where the interview guy over at IGN is like, so what are the narrative hooks to keep people moving towards the center of the universe? And he's like, there aren't any. You know, you just stick to one planet and just stay there the entire time if that's what you wanted to do. And I'm like, oh, no, that's no
means
good.
that there are no narrative hooks. I
Right.
mean, like everyone's trying to get to like the center of the galaxy, but like I think that's going to take forever. I think that's the point. Like it's a goal that no one can really achieve
Yeah.
in the game.
Well, eventually. I mean, you know, that's somebody will do it. They could push Nobi Nobi Boy as far as it went, and people can get to the middle of that dumb Peter Molyneux Curiosity game. Yeah, they can get to the center of the universe.
Probably it won't be within the first 2 weeks of the game being released, though.
Probably not. I guess
it'll take like a while.
I mean, you know, the thing is that I really don't want to. I don't want to spend a whole hell. I don't want to shit on this game in huge amounts of ways. It's not my intention. I guess the thing is that I just am like I was asking around the E3. I need you to show me what this game is about. Like, what is the core of this gameplay? And if the core of the gameplay is mostly just looking at stuff and then registering that stuff, then, you know, then it like you just I what else is there to do? Because I feel like if that's the entirety of it, that it's. I mean, I'm sorry, I keep repeating myself, Nick, but don't you think that's going to get boring eventually? Don't you think that that's going to?
I really have a concern about that. However, I love whenever they implement something new in video games. I feel like there's so many times where games are just becoming stale and repetitive. And just the fact that they're doing something that no one has ever done before, just gets me excited, and I'm willing to buy it just because of that. And I don't know about you, but like I've always had a fascination with exploring something and going someplace that no one has ever gone before. Unfortunately, I've never been a Star Trek fan, but I think that was the allure of the show. You know.
Well, yeah, it definitely, and I totally understand that. And I guess maybe the thing that I want to say as well to people who are listening to this is that I'm not trying to say that I think this game looks like garbage. I don't think. I mean, I think that it's a very interesting concept. I just what I'm wondering is this. Let me sum up my entirety of my thoughts in this way. What I'm wondering is if that trailer didn't make me the first trailer they put out didn't make me too excited. That if that trailer basically in a nutshell showed what you're going to be doing in the entirety of No Man's Sky. You're going to be cataloging indigenous life, you're going to be exploring planets, and you're going to be fighting space armadas to get to whatever the next planet that you need to get more credits, to more animals, more space armada, et cetera, et cetera. If that's the gameplay loop, if that entirety of the gameplay loop was summed up in that one trailer, then I can see getting to a point where it's like, okay, this is great and this is well implemented, and the fact that this is all procedurally generated is actually incredible, but the staying power of a game like that maybe it doesn't quite appeal to me as much as something like, say, sorry to bring this up again, Kerbal Space Program, right? I've been playing the shit out of Kerbal Space Program. In Kerbal Space Program, you're basically doing the same thing. You have to build a spaceship, you have to take off, and your eventual goal is to get to different places in the solar system and explore planets, and you do that to get science, to upgrade, to build bigger rockets, to get to larger places, et cetera, et cetera. Except the Kerbal Space Program is hard as fuck. Like, you have to know how to build a goddamn spaceship in order to do it, so that when you finally get your spaceship and you land your spaceship on the moon with just a little bit of fuel left over, and you've got just enough fuel to get back into the atmosphere, when you finally do all that whole thing, it feels like an accomplishment, because it wasn't just walk up to ship, press X to get in ship, point at planet, hit R2, boom, you're there. Like, I had to build that fucking ship, and I had to launch that ship, and I had to make that thing work, as opposed to just pointing your last starfighter ship at the sky and holding down the accelerate button until you're in space, right? So the challenge, maybe that's what I'm trying to get at here. Where the challenge comes in. Where's the thing that is impeding me from moving forward outside of just
I think it's actually getting resources in order to go to the next star system. I mean, because I think people who like Minecraft will probably like this game. I mean, who knows? Like, I might buy this game and be like, "Oh shit, I hate this kind of stuff because it's so time consuming." I mean, because in the demos, the guy who's obviously playing it has that God mode or whatever thing turned on, where he can literally visit every star in the galaxy, which makes it look piss easy and then therefore not fun. But I'm sure like there's always going to be that luring thing of like, what's over the horizon? What is the next star system going to look like? It will have like loads of planets, or is it going to be like a dead system or something?
Right. No, and so here's the thing. Again, just before we move on to reiterate, I'm still very much looking forward to playing this game. I think that my mind may have actually made an incorrect assumption, which was that all right, this is great, and then somewhere they're gonna have the place where you're shooting space marines with your space laser, right? Because no,
if it was
game
like
with
Starship. Yeah, if it was like Starship Troopers, then I would be really excited. Could you imagine like conquering the galaxy? Like one star at a time. That'd be fucking sick.
Yeah, well, I think that if they had, I guess that's what I was imagining, is that maybe each one of these planets was going to have, like, some of them would have creatures that were, that goat was headbutting the guy, right? And it was more just like an irritation than anything else. Like, in fact, it was the goat wasn't hurting him, but killing the goat set off this chain reaction that managed to get the guy killed. So I think that if there were planets that had like really hostile environments where these keepers, like he's showing, aren't there, where basically in order to discover things you have to fight your way across the planet, and if they give you a way that you can like research different stuff to be able to fight or whatever, I think that would be very cool. He did say that if you drill down in the world that there are caverns and life down there. I think that that's really cool. So again, it's probably more just a case that I don't.
Are you serious? There's gonna be aliens in the Earth.
In the planet, yeah. He said,
like those giant worms in that movie. What's it called?
Beetlejuice.
No, the ones that the with Kevin Bacon. What's it called?
Yeah, Beetlejuice. Kevin Bacon was in Beetlejuice.
Shut up.
Tremors is what you're talking about.
Tremors, that's it. Yeah. Yes, I had no idea. That sounds really sick. So cool.
Yeah. So I you know what? I just need to. I need to see more of it. But if it's just looking at stuff, okay. All right, next up, The Division came out with, of all things, a story trailer, which I guess sheds a little bit of light on a thing that I've been asking.
I forgot it as soon as I watched it. It's one of the few trailers I actually watched it, and I'm forgetting as I'm watching it, what the fuck was going on.
I see. I guess the only reason that normally I wouldn't even put this on the show, but I decided to because I've been asking for a long time for them to be like, all right, why the fuck should I be caring about what's going on in the Division? Tell me some story, Ubisoft. Tell me what the fuck is going on in the Division outside of just money and people dying. And so this told us a little bit more. I guess it's kind of the same thing as like, okay, so you got the money, you got this quarantine. They decided to build a gigantic ring around the center of Manhattan or something.
Manhattan?
Yeah. And then they left, this is one of the great weird things about this trailer. He's got this military guy, and he's going over it, and he's like, we left behind all our best stuff, all of our best weapons, and all of our best equipment, and all of our research on a cure. And I heard him say that. I'm just like, well, that seems very short-sighted, military guy. You probably should have taken a moment to gather up your best weapons and all your research about the cure of this plague with you, because that seems like it could be a thing that would be useful.
It just doesn't seem like that big of a deal, because it's just like Manhattan, right? Mm-hmm. Like there's this. So, fuck it. I'm sorry. I'm just like, I know I love New York as much as anyone else, but like it's not gonna, affect everyone else. If this one area happens to have a few diseases in it, America will continue as normal. When I was watching the trailers before, it made it sound like America had been defeated by something. Like the world had ended, rather than just like one shitty little quarantine zone called the Dark Zone, which is the most unimaginative name ever. Like, who cares? It's like I was watching this movie called Doomsday, which is this terrible, terrible British horror action movie where there's like a virus goes on in Britain,
mm-hmm.
and it starts off in Scotland, and then the English just build like a giant wall quarantining Scotland, and like that's the first 5 minutes of the movie. I'm like, okay, well, why does the rest of the movie need to continue if this virus has been quarantined?
Well, some things might have happened on the other side of the walls. I mean, I know that you're British and your colonial roots. You told me you learned all about them. You're now, and you're all about the empire, right? But sometimes there's stories to be told on places that. No, I'm just kidding.
I know, but like you quarantine Manhattan, like. it doesn't change anything, in the big events for the United States. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And he's just like making it sound like it's the apocalypse or something.
Yeah, I agree. I think that this just answered one question for me, and that was kind of like, well, what is your motivation to go out and be killing people and joining clans and doing stuff? And it's like, oh, well, the military left behind all their greatest shit, so I want a better rocket launcher. Let's go raid the crazy people.
Does the United States make a thing of leaving all of their stuff in New York City today? Like, is that where the gang got its inspiration from?
No, not really.
Is Area 51 located in Manhattan? I thought it used to be in New Mexico. But
I mean, I don't know if you know this, Nick, and I don't know if you have this problem in England, right? But like, okay, so let's say that when you're watching TV in England, right? You're watching movies in England and whatever. Would you say that a good like 60 to 70% of the things that you see that are set in modern day are set in London? Would you say that's accurate?
Yes, I'd say, a lot of the stuff.
Right.
But then again, out of England, London is like the biggest city, But whereas in America, you got like a bajillion of them all over the place.
Well, but nobody decides to make a sitcom set in Houston, right? Or
no, that's true.
Or
it's either like always New York or Los Angeles.
Sometimes like Chicago or Boston or something up there, but they generally tend to. It's not like they're. It's not like there's a lot of call for fucking a sitcom set in Montana, right, or like Cheyenne or something like that. Like they generally tend to stick to that because I think it's really iconic. But you actually make a very good point about the division.
But I mean, like I'm thinking like military stuff. I don't know. I didn't think New York was famous for military stuff. I know it's famous for like coffee shops. I mean, like if you were saying like we lost Central Park, we need to go back and find that sofa or whatever. That would make sense.
I had this great mental image of like a store in New York, downtown New York. It's like Original Ray's military stuff. Like, yay, hey, I got the best military stuff. Come on in. But no, this shows a little bit of it. I can still say that I'm still very much in the kind of like, the Division. I mean, like I play it. Maybe when it comes out and I play it, I'll just be like, holy shit, this was great. Why did I ever talk a lot of shit about it? And then I'll be like, oh, okay, that's why. Or I'll be like,
I bet you it's going to be like Homefront. I bet you that's how it's going to be. People are going to be like, okay, 7 out of 10. And then it turns out to be like £2 on Steam or $2 on Steam. Within a year.
I'd be willing to bet that it's probably going to be something that's going to be okay. It's probably going to be slightly better than average, like a 6.5 out of 10 type of thing, right? Where, it's fun to play, but instantaneously forgettable.
It will be one of those games that no one ever plays again. That's how it's going to be, just like Homefront.
Maybe.
Because Homefront wasn't a terrible game.
Yeah.
It was just meh. And no one plays that anymore.
Yeah, I don't know. See, here's the thing, though, is that I'm weird about that kind of stuff because, like, I was all into Kerbal Space Program last week, and then this week I've been playing the Final Fantasy XIV MMO, and I don't even know why. I mean, I really enjoy it, but I couldn't tell you why because it's the sort of game. It's like, well, it's a $60 game with a $40 expansion and like a $15 a month fucking subscription fee. Why the fuck am I playing this? It's the year 2015. Why am I paying to play an MMO? But I don't know. I really enjoy it. Anyway, we got one more trailer and then a bunch of other stuff to rip through here. Nick, I wasn't going to cover this trailer, and then the news was so light that I decided to cover it. So you may not have seen this, but they came out with a trailer for the first DLC for Batman Arkham Knight, which is...
Is it the Red Hood?
No. It's Batgirl, A Matter of Family. And this is prequel DLC where from the trailer what we can see is that this is like back when the Joker was still operational because we've got Joker. And then the thing that probably this shouldn't excite me as much as it does, Nick, but the thing that probably made me all the most excited about this DLC trailer was you got the Joker there, and then there's actually a quick shot of Harley Quinn, and she's dressed in her outfit from the goddamn animated series. Thank you so much for not, for at least acknowledging the fact that she had a good costume at one point in time, because I hate every Harley Quinn costume since the original one. I just felt there was no need to.
Are you a purist? Is that it?
No, that's just they took like originally her costume. It was sexy, and she was dressed like a Harlequin. That was what she was dressed like. And then as time went on, they just started putting her in like bustiers and short shorts and pigtails and shit. And it's like, but why? It was fine the way that it was. It was like, it was a skin tight costume, so you could appeal to, I guess, the jerk off crowd or whatever. I don't know. But it's also fully covering her body, and it kind of hooked into her character, and like I don't know. I just really liked it. So I haven't been.
You are such a prude. You know that.
That's
like
yeah.
I just love Harley Quinn. However,
Yes.
so I watched the animated series. I loved her in there. But, there is that really sick part of me that does want to see her dress up like a schoolgirl, So I've actually been with Rocksteady from the very beginning. Yes. Less clothing. Come on.
Clothing.
Keep it going.
Well, but see, that's the thing is that's not just Rocksteady. That's the comics as well. Like it's the way she doesn't wear that outfit in the comics. She doesn't wear it in the game. She doesn't wear it anywhere. She's not wearing it in the set photos from Suicide Squad. Is that she just doesn't dress up like that anymore? And I think that it's weird because. I thought it was such an iconic costume, and they changed it so quickly with her that.
How the fuck can you find the Harlequin look sexy? She looks like one of those fake Russian dolls or whatever, like this fragile, made of porcelain, and it's gonna break if you bump it too hard.
Okay, I'm not gonna go into this too much. It's skin tight latex, Nick. All right, like let's just leave it at that, and then go on.
It's not latex, though. It's silk or something.
Well, in this trailer, it's super shiny, so it looks like latex. I don't know.
Oh, I haven't seen the trailer for it.
Anyway, so this seems to take place like way before, I don't know, maybe even before Arkham Asylum, right? Because the Joker, his face and his makeup look a little bit like kind of more old school. Like he's kind of got like the lipstick drawn over on his cheeks type of thing instead of like the gigantic mouth. But I like this because it's like it's got these really heavy overtones of Batman, the Killing Joke. Have you ever read that, Nick? We talked about it a little bit.
Yes, I have. Yeah, Alan Moore, right?
Yeah, because it's like Joker and Harley Quinn, and they're at this like abandoned amusement park or something, and they've got Commissioner Gordon trapped, and it's the DLC is going to be Batgirl and Robin going in to get Commissioner Gordon back, because apparently in the trailer there's a line where Barbara's like, yeah, he said that if he sees Batman, he'll kill my father immediately, so we got to take care of this on our own. I'm like, great, because I love the idea of more. I feel like the whole Bat family gets fucked in the Arkham games because it's just like, Nightwing is cool, and I like Tim Drake Robin, and Batgirl, that's pretty saucy, and Catwoman, great. Throw some Huntress in there, man. I don't give a fuck. Like, just throw them all in there. There's some great characters in there, but it's all Batman. So, but this looks pretty fun. I don't know if you know this. Did you get Arkham Knight, Nick?
Yeah, of course I did. I love that game.
Okay. Did you beat it? Have you beaten it yet?
No, I didn't get the 100% thing, but yeah,
But
I watched the end on YouTube. Yes, I got the 100% thing, and I watched it on YouTube.
But you beat the story. Oh, okay.
Yeah.
But yeah, the thing is that I don't know if you remember this, but the season pass for it is $40, which is a little bit more than we usually see for season passes. And this is the first of a bunch of different story DLC that they're putting out. It's coming out next week, and so I don't know. We've got some other big games, so we might save that DLC and then do it at a later date. Like Godzilla's coming out.
Is there a chance that this is going to be a bit longer than the fucking Harley Quinn DLC, which takes about 20 minutes to finish?
God, I hope so, because they actually had some interesting stuff in there. Like I like her crazy vision mode, right? And there's one point during that Harley Quinn DLC where she's like she's arguing with herself. She's arguing with her Harleen Quinzel, kind of like her sane mind, and I'm like, hey, I kind of like that, but that thing, oh my god. I mean, is free pre-order DLC, great, fine. It was or day one DLC, fine. It was 20 minutes, whatever, and it did fill in a part of the thing, and you got to kick Nightwing's ass, and that was cool. But I'm hoping that this is more like I don't know if you remember, but in the Batman Arkham City had DLC where you played as Robin. And it was like a 2 or 3 hour campaign. I mean, if each one of these DLCs could clock in at least 2 hours, and if there were at least 4 of them, if there was at least 8 hours of content for $40 that was solid story content, I think that would be worth it. But I don't know. Do you think, would you, I mean, you know, I was talking with a guy last week at the bar who said that, yeah, I bought the season pass right off the bat. And I kept saying, why would you buy the season pass for a video game right off the bat? Why not just wait and see? Because season passes don't go up in price the longer you wait, right? So why not wait and like read a review and then see? Because you can always just then buy the season pass and bada bing, bada boom, go for it. But do you think that you'll do any of that? Do you think that you'll get the season pass for Arkham Knight?
Probably not. I mean, I remember when Arkham City came out, I was really selective with what DLC I'd get.
Mm-hmm.
I got the one with Harley Quinn's Revenge for Arkham City because I was intrigued by that. I remember reading the summary for Robin thing, and I was like, whatever. But maybe I might forget for Batgirl. But I just want to see if there's any games that actually continue on where Arkham Knight left off. I'm convinced there has to be a DLC for that because the way they ended it was pretty open-ended.
Yeah. I don't know. Anyway, so Batman, great, wonderful. That's pretty cool. Let's see. Next up, we got a bunch of stuff, but we're going a little bit late, so I'm going to blow through some of this stuff. So, hey, Nick, do you remember that TV show Heroes that started off very promising and then turned into absolute kind of poopy on the street?
Bullshit. Yeah. My girlfriend's watching Heroes at the moment, and she's never seen it before, and I'm just like, oh, that thing? Oh, what the hell are you watching that for? And she's asking me questions about it. I'm like, oh, that came out like 10 years ago. I don't remember a single thing from it.
Right. Well, apparently they're rebooting that TV show, Heroes Reborn, and I'm sure this is something Grant could tell us the details on, except that we're not talking about the TV show. We're talking about the fact that the TV show is also getting 2 video game tie-ins, Heroes Reborn Gemini, a console and PC first-person adventure, and Heroes Reborn Enigma, a first-person puzzle game on cell phones, I believe. Or let's see if I can confirm that. Let's see. Yeah, one for mobile devices and one for consoles. So
was the news really like this week?
Yep, pretty much.
That's why we haven't talked about fucking Heroes. Because neither of us likes Heroes.
Here's the thing. I didn't dislike Heroes as much as a lot of other people. Like, I watched it longer than I probably should have, and I thought that it was an interesting concept. I think you know what I really honestly think, Nick, is I think that Heroes got jacked by the writer's strike because they tried to continue making Heroes through the writer's strike, and I don't think they should have done that because the minute that it kind of started to do that is it all just went fucking berserk, and it was just like, oh God, what are you doing, Heroes? Like, no, come on back. So I think that in today's day and age, with the special effects tech that we've got and the way that we've got TV shows that actually have a fair amount of effects and stuff, I think you could probably totally do a Heroes show as long as you got somebody good to write it. And I think that now is actually probably a good time to do a Heroes show because you've got stuff like The Flash and Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. and you know, everybody's into comic book superheroes and shit like that now. So great. But what I want to know is, will I, like, I'm going to shake my Nick Magic 8 ball. Okay, so Nick, I got 3 questions for you. I got 2 questions for you.
All
One,
right, hit me.
Is this reboot show going to be any good? Magic 8 ball, Nick? What do you think? Yes or no?
Outcome looks likely.
Okay.
Yes.
Probably?
But I mean, it probably. I mean, it's not for me. I mean, that's the thing. It's not the kind of show that I'm interested in watching.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I liked it when I was a little bit younger, but you know, I rewatched it again, and I got to tell you, man, that show doesn't really hold up.
Okay.
I don't know what it is, but it seems like it's stuck in that time period where before the writer's strike, where we didn't actually have that good amount of television.
Okay.
So I've kind of been spoiled by the Breaking Bad and all of these other shows.
Yeah, the bar's been raised. The bar has definitely been raised.
Yeah.
Okay, and then second question, is there any possibility that these games could be any good? Is there any possibility they're going to be anything except for total and complete ripoff garbage?
Fuck no. They're going to be absolute bollocks. Yeah.
Okay. All right. Okay, next up, The Walking Dead is coming to The Escapists. So I don't know if you're familiar with The Escapist, Nick, but it's a game by Team 17, the guys that made Worms, I'm pretty sure. But it's like a top-down, it's a prison break game where you're in a little prison and you've got these daily things you've got to do, but all the while you're trying to like collect things to bust out of prison. And apparently they're going to be adding in a standalone, or they're going to be making a standalone game that is essentially their same prison break engine, but with zombies, and then you're actually going to be playing as Rick and survivors in the prison, which I assume. I mean, I read the comic. I know they eventually get to a prison. I'm pretty sure that I've heard that in the Walking Dead TV show they eventually get to a prison. That's correct. You watched The Walking Dead, right?
Yes, I do.
Okay.
Yeah, that's both in the comic and the TV show. But like, when you say escapist, do you mean like the review magazine?
No.
Thing?
Nope. It's a game. It's a top-down video game that Grant and I played it for one of our Patreon videos. It's a game that was in early access on Steam for a long time. It's kind of in the style of like your 16-bit, kind of like your old RPGs, where it's like a top-down type of thing. But the thing is that you're running around in this prison just trying to figure out how to get away. So you can like work out, you can like knock out guards, or you can like steal stuff, you can try to tunnel your way out. It's kind of one of those games where it's got a bunch of different solutions and you can kind of pick the best one that you want. I don't know, seems like it could be interesting. We'll probably check it out at some point. Just as a quick FYI to everybody, so I don't know if you know this, I don't know how much of E3 you really got into, Nick, but I don't know if you heard that the Xbox One now has they're adding backwards compatibility into the Xbox One.
So they can play their old games.
Second Xbox 360 games, yeah, software backwards compatibility. And this week, Criterion announced that they are talking to Microsoft about getting Burnout Paradise so that it will work on the Xbox One, which is not really notable in a specific way, but it's a game I really want to see running on the Xbox One, because Burnout Paradise is one of those fast games with a lot of shit going on the screen. So if that game can run like buttery clockwork on the Xbox One, then that's a good litmus test, right? Is a game that's fast and it's got a lot going on in it. If there's no stutter or slowdown or any of that kind of stuff, then that will definitely be, because that's the thing that I'm most concerned about with the backwards compatibility, is that since it's software compatibility, that when you get a game that's supposed to be running at like 60 frames per second, that it's going to start to slow down and be a problem. So yeah, more of a PSA than anything else. As is our next.
Well, is PlayStation, do you think, gonna do anything like this?
No.
Do backwards capable?
No.
Why?
Because
I'm feeling envious here, man. Like, it was bullshit that Xbox gets to have this. I want to play my fucking Nathan Drake games. I want to play Uncharted and do them in order.
Well, they're coming out you heard they're coming out with the HD.
Yeah, I know.
Okay, all right.
There's a whole bunch of them that I want to play. Like,
look, man, I'm going to tell you the same thing that I've been saying over and over again, is that the architecture, the actual CPU architecture in the Xbox 360 was closer to a PC, which is basically what the PS4 and the Xbox One are. That it was a lot closer to a PC, to the place where you could probably do some kind of emulation / translation. The PlayStation 3 had the Cell processor, which was kind of a fucking weirdo, Hail Mary left field, like, I don't know, type of thing. And you remember the first 2 years of the PlayStation 3, they had a shit ton of problems porting games. Like, everything that got ported to the PlayStation 3 in the first 2 years, it looked terrible, and it ran like garbage too, So I don't think that you're ever going to see that happen, because I think it's just like with the Xbox 360 and Xbox One, you're having to make a little bit of a software translation, but from the PS4 to the PlayStation 3, I just don't think that they would have to essentially emulate an entire PlayStation 3 in their software, and I don't know if it's possible to do that and maintain any kind of performance. Plus, right now, Sony doesn't... See, that's actually one of the reasons why I like it when they do stuff like this, is because right now, Sony doesn't really have any reason to do that. But if the fact that this backwards compatibility starts selling more Xbox Ones, then Sony might have to go like, well, shit, we're going to have to do something about this. So...
Well,
plus,
then they would have to like release a PlayStation 4 that I don't have, and that I would need to go out and buy in order to play all my old PlayStation 3 stuff.
Yeah, or that, or I mean, have you ever used that the streaming service that they have, PlayStation Now, I guess, where it's like on live?
I don't think it's available yet, is it?
Yeah, Yeah, it was very quietly put out. I played it a little bit. There's actually a news story this week where they're doing some kind of update to it. Where basically, but it's weird. You have to have pretty good internet in order to be able to use it, and it's got a little bit.
But it's a beta trial. It hasn't officially come out properly.
Nope,
right?
it has officially come out, or at least it has here in the U.S. because I signed up for it. I'm pretty sure, pretty certain.
Okay.
All right, so next up, a little Bloodborne news for folks. There's patch 1.05 coming out, which has something I think is really interesting in it, where, so previously in Bloodborne, you could summon other people into your game, and they actually put they added a feature where if two people, there's a password system where if two people set the same password in Bloodborne, then you can get into the other person's game directly, right? You could just invite your friends. But the thing is that, like, I brought myself into John's game, and it brought me in, and I was like level 50 something, and he was like level 10, and so we just went to the first boss and just ripped in a new a-hole because, you know, I was too high of a level for it. Well, it looks like they're going to be using a new system where it says if the level difference between the host and the guest when matched using a password is large, the guest stats will be adjusted to match the host's, which means that, and this is a pretty common thing I feel like you see in some games, where if I'm level 50 and you're level 10 and you invite me into your game, that it's going to downgrade my statistics to be in line with you so that I'm not just overpowering the shit out of the game. The only thing that I really wonder about it is if it's just going to go in the order that you upgraded your stats. So, like, if you upgraded your stats from, like, if you see at your first 10 levels of the game upgrading strength, right, and then you spent the next 20 levels of the game putting stuff into, like, Blood Tinge and Arcane, if when it levels you back to level 10, if it's going to take it in that order and then make some of the stuff that you're using not possible to read. I don't know. Sorry, this is a lot of insider baseball, but it's interesting, and I think...
Why do they have to downgrade? Why can't they just upgrade the other person?
Well, mostly because that would make the game... That would break the game. That would totally break the game.
Okay.
Because the thing is that if you... Well, think about it, Nick, is if you're in an RPG, right, and you bring me into your game and I'm level 200, right, and you're level 5, and it puts you from level 5 to level 200, well, then the game's going to be really easy for you, right? On the other hand, if you bring me in to your game and then we're playing through the game together and I'm level 200 and you're level 5, I'm going to be able to just walk in front of you and kill everything, and you're not ever going to have to do anything to play the game. So it's actually a pretty decent balance because when you get people that are too far outside of your range, then it just makes the game too easy to play without some kind of restriction. So I don't know. Be interested to check this out when it comes out. And then finally, before we take our break here, so Nick, I don't know if you remember this, but in 2014, there was an attack on Xbox Live on the PlayStation Network by a hacking group called the Lizard Squad, right? That basically looked to essentially, like, their stated goal. They launched a DDoS attack against Xbox Live and PlayStation Network, so nobody who got PlayStations or Xboxes for Christmas could log in. And their stated goal, from what I've read about them, was that they were like, well, we have to show the world how shitty these services are, and you know, et cetera, et cetera. And then they finally, it's such a weird. Do you know about this? It's a very weird story. Like
I don't remember the name, but like I remember like something happened a couple of years ago.
Yeah, the guy that founded Mega Upload bought them off with like $300,000 worth of Mega Upload vouchers or something, and that just goes to show that the whole reason they were doing this was for money and not for any real altruistic reason or whatever. In any case, apparently one of the guys that did it was convicted of 50,000 counts of cybercrime, including harassment, fraud, and data breaches. This guy, Julius, who lives in... Where does he live? Finland. Or no, maybe Finland was just where the conviction happened. In any case, this guy basically was convicted of 50,000 counts of the cybercrime, right? His sentence was a 2-year suspended sentence.
Wait, what?
Yep.
For 50,000... Wait, what does that mean? 2 years suspended sentence.
As I understand it, I mean, I'm not a lawyer, so I couldn't say for certain. But if TV has taught me anything, Nick, it's that, generally speaking, what that means is that it's like he's got that sentence, but it's not actually going to be enforced. It's like this. It got the 2-year sentence, but then it's suspended. But it essentially means that he's on probation. So it's almost like you have all of the problems of having like a probation officer and stuff when you're out of jail, but without ever actually going to jail. So it's like you went to jail for 2 years, but then or maybe that's when when the sentence is commuted. I don't know. Somebody could call it. All I know is
like community service or something.
Probably
like it's not.
I mean, there's probably some kind of stipulation from the ruling. I'm sorry, I wasn't able to get directly into the ruling before we started. But there's probably something.
Sorry.
No. There's probably something in the ruling that says that like he can't ever use a computer again, right? Which I don't know if they still do that for cybercrime. I know that they did that in the past, like the hackers, like one of the one of the terms of their sentence would be like, well, you can't use a computer anymore. But it almost seems like in today's day and age that would almost be more punitive.
Cruel.
Like, yeah, it would be really punitive to somebody to say. It would be like, I mean, I guess people get their driver's license indefinitely suspended. I don't know. It just seems like a weird thing. Do you think that's? Is there a reason? Like, if you said to somebody you can never use a computer again, is that too harsh? Is that essentially the equivalent of just like, you're already in prison but you're just out on the street, type of thing?
No, I don't. I think that they're fully within their right to take this man's right to use a computer, because he had his fucking shot like we all do, and he kind of screwed it up.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
that's a big deal what he did.
Oh yeah,
and I'm just thinking about all the stuff he wasn't caught doing. Because how often is cybercrime enforced?
That's a good question. I mean, it's not. I mean, this is also one of those times where this group was very public about what they were doing, and
because they're idiots.
Yeah, and
what kind of idiots said, "Oh, by the way, was the lizard people did this?"
Yeah,
it's.
Yeah,
do you remember in Home Alone? Do you remember Home Alone? Like the robbers who keep going to this house, and there's that guy who insists on calling themselves the Wet Bandits or whatever, and he keeps turning on the taps in every house that he goes to. So at the end of the movie, like when they get pinched by the police, they're able to charge them with all the houses that got flooded because it was their MO.
Oh, yeah.
Yes. It's exactly like this. Fucking idiots.
I guess the thing is that I know that I know that hackers are just they're kind of a fact of life these days, right? And a good hacker can basically take down just about anything or break in. I mean, if a good hacker wants to get into your shit, they're going to get into your shit, right? Like that's the problem. Is I was reading, I've read this stuff all over the place. It says that somebody who's really determined to get at you and your shit is going to do it. They're eventually going to find you and get into your shit. They're going to break your password through whatever. I think the thing that really bothers me more than anything about this is the fact that these motherfuckers did the shit on Christmas. And it doesn't even bother me or for anybody above the age of, say, 12. But I know that there are a bunch of kids who got their fucking Christmases ruined because they got a brand new PlayStation 3 or Xbox 360 and they pulled out whatever dumb game that the developer couldn't be bothered to finish before they put it out. They put it in and it was like, oh, you need to go online and get this new update. You need to update. And they couldn't do it. And like, even if that only happened to like 5 kids, fuck this guy for doing that to 5 children, right? Because
absolutely,
who the fuck do you think you are taking Christmas away from kids, man? Kids are going to get the shit kicked out of them by life soon enough. There's no reason to be ruining people's Christmas. And I don't feel sorry for any dude in college, any frat dude who couldn't play Call of Duty with his friends, or any, guy who couldn't log on to World of Warcraft, or any of these other multiplayer things, or you could get an update for that. I don't care about anybody, like I said, above the age of about 13 or 14, right? But anybody below that, they don't understand why you're doing this. Your weird ethics of like, well, we have to show the world how shitty Sony's network or Microsoft's network security is. It's like, do it tomorrow. Do it on the 26th of December. Let the children have one day to update their shit and get it going. Because I gotta tell you what, you're not hurting Sony or Microsoft. You're hurting a bunch of fucking 14-year-old kids or whatever, or 12-year-olds. That
you're hurting their feelings. Okay,
well,
leave alone.
I like to think of myself as a weirdly cynical optimist, but like I think that doing bad things, I think that disappointing kids on Christmas, you can justify that shit to you however you want to. I think that makes you a fucking monster. Let's just be clear about that. I think that it makes you a goddamn monster to be basically pooping on some kid's Christmas, because you know what? Christmas should be awesome, and it should be for kids, and they should be able to get up and just be like the happiest goddamn day of their entire life, so you can look back on when you're old and you're gonna die and shit, and you're looking for one good memory over your entire goddamn horrible train wreck of a life. You should be able to look back to one Christmas and go, yay, I got that G.I. Joe that I wanted. Oh, and then the network was down, so I couldn't update his firmware, and I couldn't play with him that day. You know, that's just garbage. So and by the way, that was I usually try to pull up a funny story before we go on break. That was about as funny as I got. So yeah. So we're gonna go ahead and we're gonna take a break. When we come back, we've got your questions that we're gonna answer. I put out a call for questions, and we got a whole bunch of them. So we're gonna go ahead and we're gonna roll through some of these, and we'll be back in just a moment. Stay tuned.
See you in a bit.
All right, folks, and welcome back. And it's time, Nick, to answer the questions that the people sent in. Mail@rageselect.com is the email address. And we, I'd like to make sure that people are sending in the questions that they want to ask, because I feel like our questions are starting to get, I feel like we're starting to get fewer questions than normal. And I just want people to send them in so that I've got plenty to choose from.
Right.
But this week, our first one comes in from Chris, and Chris says, Dear Jeff and Nick, in the past, you've stated that you aren't a real big fan of the Sim/strategy games like SimCity and the like, but I was wondering as to why you personally prefer any particular genre over another, or why you might have problems with particular genre types, ignoring the obvious ones like whatever the fuck Akiba's Trip is all about. For me, I remember hanging out at a friend's house while we all took turns playing SimCity 2000 on his Mac while waiting to play Super Mario World. Eventually, playing Mario was just waiting in line to play SimCity, as we all got good amounts of time with the game, learned its ins and outs, and became fans of the city-building genre as a result. Did you have any similar experience with a particular genre during your formative years that's kept you nostalgic for it and still wanting to play it today? Signed, Chris in California. What do you think, Nick? Are there any particular genres that you're not like super big on?
I guess like SimCity would be one of those genres that I'm not too excited on. Like any strategy game that I'm really interested in playing would have to be like the classic Total War games. Like that, I don't play that many strategy games. I think the last one I played was like World in Conflict, which is like about the Soviets invading the United States. But apart from that, I'm very picky, and once I find a particular game, then I will stick to that kind of series. I don't usually venture outside unless it's something that really grips me about it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think for me, there's some games. I mean, the whole thing with SimCity is, or the sim type games or like city building games, is that I've played a few of them. There was one called Cities, not Cities XL, but might have been Cities Skylines, I think, that Grant and I played for a Patreon video, or John and I played it for a Patreon video, and I have a certain amount of fun with those. I guess that eventually it just, for me, it's not necessarily a question of playing a specific type of game. I'll play just about anything. It mostly is a question of coming back to that a second time. There are some games, I guess, in particular that I just am not. Like, I'm not a huge fan of, like, the Total War games, but I think it's because, because
the fact that history games, is that why?
No, I mean, no. It's not even that. I mean, there's a certain level of, I think, complexity to certain types of games that kind of puts me off. Like, I know that when I was thinking about his question, I realized that as much as I've always wanted over the years to get into what they call the 4X genre. Do you know what that is, Nick?
No.
It's like Master of Orion, or there's a few games that are kind of like that. There's one called Endless Space that are like empire building space games. So you've got like planets, and then you use your planets to research stuff, and then you do, or even Civilization to a certain degree. They just end up like, I don't really have a super good handle on how to play those games well. So I usually end up just kind of like flailing around in them without any real serious strategy, and that I guess is it doesn't exactly end up being super fun.
I mean, the reason I didn't really like those games is because, like in Civilization, it seems like when you do battles, it's actually on the strategy map, which takes me out of the game a little bit. I mean, the reason why I love Total War so much is that you have your strategy map. It's kind of like Risk, but then when you go into a battle, you go actually into an almost different game in a way, where you're actually on a landscape with armies and stuff like that. So it feels like there's a difference between the strategy map and the actual battles that take place.
You know what? I was while you were saying that actually gave me some good insight. I think I know what it is. I think I know what it is for me that separates games that I enjoy from games that I don't particularly enjoy. I'm gonna rack my brain while I'm saying this to see if there's anything that if this tends to ring true throughout stuff. I like the micro. I like as close as you can get to a single unit or a single person. That's what I tend to enjoy more than the further away you get from a specific one story about a single person or a single unit in the game, the less interested I am in it. Like the more I like XCOM, and I think XCOM is a real fun game. That's a squad-based game. Or I like games that are squad-based where it comes to stuff. But now that I'm thinking about it, it's like once you tend to get above a certain level of focus in a game, I tend to lose some of my enjoyment because I guess I feel like I have a harder time. I have an easier time getting emotionally attached with a character in a storyline than I do with a system, right? Which is what I kind of feel like. I mean, it's a maybe a gross oversimplification, but like even with Total War, right? Is that you're moving around these armies of kind of like faceless units, and I know that there's a drama in the actual in the way that the battle like plays out, but when I think about games where you're playing as an army where you have a lot of units. What I'm thinking of is that I enjoy are games like StarCraft, where you're dealing with a smaller number from a smaller level. That you're not dealing with this giant army. Because I guess I feel like I just tend to lose some of my focus when you get that far out, and it just doesn't like the wins that you get out of that are so kind of abstracted a few layers above the individual the story of the individual character that I think that I just don't get as emotionally invested in that.
Yeah, that makes total sense. Yeah,
no. And I think that's why. I mean, because the thing is that I remember back in the old days playing. I guess it was what the fuck was it called? It was like Caesar. Was that one of those city building games where you're building like an ancient Roman or city, right?
Yeah, I remember them. Yes.
And
there was more than one, I think.
Yeah. And in a lot of ways, I just felt like that didn't like. I don't know. It didn't really appeal to me in a certain way. I don't know. I have a hard time getting into certain types of games. Maybe that's also the issue that I'm starting to have with like The Witcher and Dragon Age and stuff like that, is that they're starting to get so big that the story, the through line story of that one of the main character is a little bit diluted, that it's just too much other stuff happening. Or I don't know. I'm also starting.
I don't understand what you're talking about when it comes to Witcher, because like there's some great stories going on with the main character. I mean, I know what you mean. Like there's like almost too many things to do.
Yeah,
that's kind of the whole point of it. You can actually invest yourself and get lost in this world, and like everything you do feels like it's making a big difference to everyone else's lives in the game.
Yeah, I'm still having a hard time like putting my finger on what it is about The Witcher that just kind of like, because I tend to like really enjoy it. I honestly think that it's probably, well, it's weird because see, Grant and I were playing Grand Theft Auto 5 as a sequential on for Patreon, right? And I really like Grand Theft Auto 5. Like I like the characters, I like the world, I like all the different stuff that you're able to do. And that's a huge ass game with a lot of subquests and side quests and stuff like that. So I don't know why. It's also possible. I tend to get. It's funny. We had a episode on the dojo this week. Grant Nick were playing a anime game, Victory J Stars Victory VS Plus or something like that. That's it's basically a bunch of different animes all smooshed together. And in the comment section, people were suggesting animes that I should watch, right? And I remember looking at some of them and going, I think that there's a part of me that's just very, very burned out on anything medieval, anything that's set in any kind of medieval time period that is not just the best, right? Like I'll watch Game of Thrones, but I found myself when people were making these arguments for like why I should be watching like these samurai animes, going like, I just don't know if I want to do that. Like I don't know if I'm really as interested in just the medieval setting in general, because I guess I feel like it's so ubiquitous. It's everywhere. It's like
I actually understand where you're coming from there, because I pride myself as a film buff. I love movies, like every different type, all cinemas, Asian cinema, European cinema, American cinema, etc. But for some reason, I can't get into anime, and I watch all the things that people recommend me to watch, like Attack on Titan, and I think Akira was one of the few that I actually liked. But as far as I'm aware, Akira's like the godfather of the anime world, and even that didn't 100% hold my interest.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, and I don't know. For me, it's weird because I don't necessarily feel bad about like not like the other thing about the whole sim strategy game thing is that Chris, is that they don't tend to make good dojo episodes, right? The best dojos that we do, or the best videos that we do, tend to be focused on smaller stories, right? Because then we can comment on those, as opposed to, what kind of jokes are we going to make about a Total War game, right? Like, check this out, I'm moving my navy over to this square. Oh, like, that's a little bit difficult. But yeah, I don't know. I mean, just back to the medieval thing. I think that I'm largely, but it's weird because I'm playing. And I think that this might be, maybe this is telling. I'm kind of just trying to figure. A lot of times I'll spend a lot of time, Nick, just trying to figure out why I don't like a thing, so that when people come at me online, I could be like, no, here's my well-reasoned argument about why I'm not such a big fan of whatever it is that you're talking about. But I've been playing Final Fantasy XIV a lot, and I tend to like the Final Fantasy genre, but then Final Fantasy isn't like strictly medieval. Like they have a bunch of kind of like weird futury magical technology in it as well, which I kind of enjoy. I don't know, it's weird. I don't always know why I don't like what I don't like. I've also found recently that I think just my overall, the time that I'm willing to spend banging my head up against a thing has lowered dramatically over the years, especially doing this job. Like there was a time where any game that required a huge time investment better have a fucking enormous payoff at the end of it, right? It better be the Dark Souls or whatever, which is one of the reasons why I can't get into like online first-person shooters, because I just get killed over and over again, and it's not really super fun, and I'm not really willing to put in the effort that it takes to get good at them. Like I'd rather just go play a different game, because there's so many games out there. There's so many awesome games that my tolerance these days for things that require an upfront investment to get into is very low, because there's so many games out there that I could just pick up and start playing immediately that I already know are going to hold my interest. So I don't know. And I don't know if that maybe makes me like shallow, but whatever. I mean, at this point, it's like, goddamn, dude, I just can't spend my entire life trying to like your favorite game, right? Fan of the show or whoever you are. When I just don't. I try to play it over and over again and just go, I just don't like this. It's like, but why? I love it so much. And I go, I don't know. I'm sorry. So let's see. Our next question comes in from Kurt, and Kurt says, "Hello, Jeff and Nick. Longtime fan since Loading Bar days here. I've been a bass player for the past 5 years and have been recommended by my teacher that I start jamming with other people and eventually form a band. Jeff, you mentioned before that you were at one point a drummer from one musician to another. Any suggestions on how to find other people to play with? Particularly, I need help finding a drummer, as those are far more difficult to come across. I'm 17 and reaching my last year in high school. Spoken with other members of my band class about this, but none of them are as proficient with their instruments as I am and have no suggestions. Guess that's high schoolers for you. I've close to Portland, Oregon. If any disciples of Doncles care to contact me about this, I am Infinity Studios on the site. Any suggestions? May your dong forever be long and just. Your fan for life, Kurt." Nick, have you ever played in a band before? You do instruments?
Hell no.
Musical
No, this
instruments?
is your territory. You take it off. I'm useless in anything apart from watching movies.
I'm gonna tell you this right now, Kurt. Is that if you find a drummer, treat him real nice, right? Because it seems like everybody needs drummers. It seems like every band. When I was a kid and I was drumming, it seemed like every single band that I knew, they were always looking for a drummer. But then when you got into the band, like if you decided to go play with somebody, they'd be just like super in your business about how you were doing your drumming. Like, oh, we need a drummer so bad. We need a drummer so bad. And you'd be like, okay, well, I'm a drummer. And they'd be like, all right, come jam with us. And you'd be like, all right. They'd be like, no. Can you just go like boom, bap, super fast? And I'd be like, well, yes, I can, but that's a drum machine, not a drummer that you're looking for. You want something that's just going to be the background.
Do I tell you how to play the fucking guitar?
That's right.
No, don't tell me how to do my drumming.
That's right. I don't come to your house and slap the dick. I don't know what I heard of that. Anyway, Kurt, I say that your best bet. I mean, if you're in high school, right, is to, I would say, if you've scoured your own high school and you can't find people, look for like places where people. I say look for bands, like try to get hooked up with bands that are not in your high school, right? Like find places where bands that are playing that like, a lot of times you can find like shitty bars or people that are having a party that they'll let a band play at or stuff like that. And, make friends with those people and then see if they know other people. It's all kind of about networking for that stuff because I think the reason that drummers are so hard to find, Nick, is because they're not the sexy part of the band that gets to stand out in front. It's a pretty big investment to buy a drum kit and haul it around to a bunch of different places. And generally speaking, people tend to make real shitty jokes at their expense. So,
yeah, they're the Ringos of the band.
Right, exactly. Ringo Starr's a good drummer, man. Like, that dude is fucking awesome.
Actually, you know what? I think Ringo got the last laugh because he married a Bond girl. I mean, look how the others ended up. So.
Well, true.
There we go.
True.
Yeah.
You listen to his drum solo on I guess it's what Abbey Road at the mix at the end there. I mean, I think that dude, like I think he had the chops to be just like some kind of fucking Mitch Mitchell crazy person, right? And he was just like, no, I need to sit back here and do my thing.
Have you seen that Family Guy episode where he comes up to the band? He's like, oh, by the way, guys, I wrote a song. And they're like, oh, that's great. And they put it on top of the fridge with like a magnet.
Yeah, yep.
That's exactly how all drummers are treated.
Yeah. So, I as far as, I mean, like, it's been a long time, so I don't know. I mean, the other thing you could do is, I mean, if you've got a Facebook, if you're on Facebook, get a bunch of Facebook friends, ask your Facebook friends. I don't know if it's become more or less difficult to find a drummer these days, but I know that when I was in high school, I was in like 4 bands because everybody needed one, and I was of like 3 people that in my class that was a drummer. But yeah, I mean, I'd say go out, use your social media. But the best way is to probably find places where, like, people of what I would do is I would ask you've got a music teacher there. I'd ask your music teacher for suggestions about maybe like local places where bands of this caliber that are starting up are playing. Keep an ear to the ground for like parties or something where a band's going to play, and then go and then kind of hobnob with those folks and see what you're able to find out. Other than that, I don't know what to tell you. It's been literally 20 years since I've played the drums in any real serious way. Maybe 16 or 17. I mean, I bet I could still do it, but I'd probably be real shit at it. So, our next question comes in from Julio. And, Nick, I'm going to tell you right now, Julio really wants this question answered. He has been sending this question in, so I'm hoping that we're able to give him a good answer. Says,
is it in all caps, the question?
No, it's not. But it's come from this really weird email address. Anyway, it says, hey, Jeff and Nick. Let's see. I've got a question. Let's see. I recently played the Final Fantasy 15 demo and really liked what I played. But I would be lying to myself if I didn't wish that they went with the combat system of the original Final Fantasy Versus 13 instead of the new one. Has there ever been a game where you wish that they would release the original version instead of the original version instead? Also, what is your opinion about Final Fantasy 15? Hail our phallic looking savior, Julio. Sorry, Julio. I added a few extra words there. As very compact question. So, let's see here. You probably have not played the Final Fantasy 15 demo, Nick.
No, and I think the reason why is because I could never get into the Final Fantasy games, and I think it's because they were all turn-based combat.
Mm-hmm.
I just hated the idea where it was like a 18th century pistol duel, where like this guy slaps you, and then you slap him, and then he slaps you, and then you just go back and forth. Like I preferred games where the combat felt real. Like you were both duking out at the same time, and it was based on your skills on who would win. I mean, I'm sure. Maybe Final Fantasy now has changed. I'm not too sure, but
it has. Like Final Fantasy 13, at least the original, had a system where it all kind of happened in real time. Like 13, which a lot of people don't like 13, and I'm kind of like so about it. I understand the criticism. I think it could have been better, but in 13, it was like all of your guys attacked the enemy kind of just by default in real time. That what you would actually do is you would switch like tactics at a upper level, right, so that they would do stuff. And 15 is actually you're just controlling, at least in the demo, and I haven't played it since they updated it, but you're controlling like one guy that has a bunch of. It's more like a real time combat system than it is. Like I think you'd be interested in it. 15 also has a very weird vibe to it because it's almost like a modern day. It's the best way I think that John and I came up with a really good way to describe it. It's a game that almost feels like if Final Fantasy, if all the crystals and airships and all that horse shit was our actual past, was the actual past of the Earth. This is what it would feel like in the modern day, because it's like they've kind of got modern cars and cell phones and stuff, but then people also have giant swords and there's monsters and crystals and stuff. It's really weird. But
okay.
But I think that we can't answer Julio's question about has there been a game that you wish that you could play the original combat version of, where there's been a dramatic change that's been made since the original, from the original to the final release product, where you could go back and you could watch like an old video and see some really interesting stuff happening. And then when you finally get to play the game, it's like, oh shit, they changed all that. None of that's here. So I have like 3 or 4 of these lined up. Do you need some time to think there, Nick?
I need some time to think. Yeah.
Okay.
Please.
All right. I will say that maybe the biggest one, maybe the top of my list, and this is a real throwback oldie thing, is Halo. Original vanilla ass Halo, as it was shown at Macworld by Bungie back in its original game, was going to be more of like it was going to have these elements of shooting and jumping and doing stuff, but it was also supposed to have this tactical element to it where you were actually making these decisions about how you were going to be attacking the enemy, and it's like they were more powerful than you, so you had to do like guerrilla raids and stuff to try to build yourself up. Excuse me. But I always looked at that and I thought, wow, that's incredible. I would really, really like to play that game. And unfortunately, then when Microsoft got it, I have a very medium opinion of Halo. I don't really hate it. I don't really love it to death, right? I have a medium opinion of Halo. But that was really kind of legitimately very interesting to me. And then when they released it, suddenly you've got like those little motherfuckers, which you haven't played Halo, Nick, I don't think, right?
I have. I played Halo 1 and 2.
Okay, yeah. But you know those little motherfuckers on the map that are just like, meh! Like they're just
the grunts,
yeah, like fucking comic relief. Like I think in the original demo, it was mostly just the fucking Covenant guys, right? The big dudes with the swords and the mouth and all that shit, right? Like it seemed really interesting, and it seemed like something that I was really kind of keen to take a look at. And then they ended up kind of changing it, and I mean, I don't think it's bad. I just thought that when I saw it originally, it was very interesting. That's also something that happened to. This is a weird one, man. I'm reaching back way far for these. Team Fortress 2. There was a trailer that Valve put out a long ass time ago, like around Half-Life 1, a little bit after Half-Life 1 came out, that was for Team Fortress 2. And Team Fortress 2 was originally more of like a military shooter looking game than it was the kind of like Pixar explosion game that it ended up being. And I think that game is fine. Like I don't really play it as much, but I have some friends who do, and they really like it. And I've played it a few times. It seems really enjoyable. But originally, Team Fortress 2 was supposed to be more. I think, realistically military, and they had this kind of idea about a rolling map structure that I thought was interesting. I don't know. You go back and look up that horrible old trailer, and it just I remember I was following Team Fortress 2 for a long time, where I would look at it and then I would go, I'd keep looking for new news about it. There was no news, and then suddenly it just appeared as this totally different game with this totally different art style, and everything was just very, very different. So I kind of wish that I got a chance to play the original that came out. What do you think, Nick? Have you thought about anything?
No, I mean, all I could think of is a game that I played that I liked, that I just wish that they did more with it.
Mm-hmm.
That I kind of wish they would reboot it or re-release it with high-def graphics and just make the gameplay so much better. And that was Vampire Bloodlines: The Masquerade.
Mm-hmm.
I just thought the concept was just brilliant. Like, I'd never played a game where an RPG where you could play a vampire, and it made sense as you progress through the games that you would level up, because the whole concept behind a vampire is that the older you get, the more powerful you get. So, yeah, that's just what I would want to have re-released.
Yeah. Let's see, the other ones that I can think of, there was what's the one? The Bureau, XCOM Declassified. They had that original story trailer for the Bureau that made it look very, very, very different, very interesting. And it when it came out, it was okay. It wasn't the worst games of all time. But
it was a gameplay trailer, though.
Yeah, well,
or was it cutscenes?
I think it was cutscenes.
Ah.
But yeah, what's that?
Okay, then I was going to say Dead Island then.
Well, I don't think Dead Island was ever going to be that, right?
Well, no, but when the trailer came out, everyone was like, "Oh my god, this looks like the best game ever," because the tone of the trailer was something similar to, I can't remember if Walking Dead was out at the time, or if it was just before Walking Dead, but it was a zombie game that everyone really wanted, and no one was fucking delivering. Like, all these zombie games we were getting was just the same old crap again and again, where it was just like tongue-in-cheek sort of gameplay. What we all wanted was a deep zombie game where it was all focused on the main character and having to make these tough decisions, and the trailer had that. And then when the game came out, it was even worse than all these other crappy zombie games we're getting. I was really bummed out because I think we had to review it, and I was pissed that I was like, what the fuck am I playing? This is nothing. Like, what happened to the deep life decisions you have to make, rather than just running around with a cricket bat smashing zombies' heads in?
Right. I got one more. I just thought of one more.
Okay.
Fuse, the first game that we ever played on Rage Select. Fuse was a game that was made by Insomniac, and it was kind of a mediocre third-person shooter, but originally Fuse was called Overstrike, and it was all tongue-in-cheek, all like crazy and like a weird-looking. Yeah, it was. It looked like a really fun game, and then they kind of went and fucked it all up. So I think that's all I got. All right, so our next question comes in from Victor, and Victor says, "Salutations, Almighty Beardman and Little Nicky." Oh, Little Nicky. I don't think nobody's put a Y on the end of your name for a long time, have they, Nick?
No. God damn it.
Who is your one favorite villain to hate in books, games, movies, etc.? Mine is a tie. I'm cheating, I know, between Lord Voldemort and that prick bastard President Snow from the Hunger Games, because, fuck those guys. Thanks, and may the salty, creamy blessings of Doncles forever make your day salty, Victor. Okay, villain you love to hate. Okay, lay it on me. What do you got?
Fucking King Joffrey.
God damn it, Nick.
Did I take your answer?
You kind of took my answer there a little bit.
Oh, I so wanted King Joffrey to get the Theon Greyjoy treatment.
Mm-hmm. No, yeah, no spoilers. I maybe should know what we're talking about there.
Okay. but like, I just hated that fucker. Like, someone who is like, because he's so sadistic, but also he's a coward as well.
Yeah,
that's what I really despised about him. I mean, I have to give props to the actor, because the fact that he played like the most hated character in television history, well, shows his acting capability. But I just wanted that fucker to get like the worst torture possible. Like I remember watching his some of the horrible things he did, and I was just like devising what I would love to see happen to him.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? Like it wouldn't be like any other villain which you would just switch off the telly and then you'd forget about him. Like this guy's stuck in your mind.
Yeah, it's funny. I know. Yeah, sorry. I'm just trying to think of something else now.
Sorry.
No, I'm just trying to think of who I could hate as much as Joffrey. I think he's one of the latest.
What about Ramsay Snow? He's pretty.
Well, I'm trying to think. I'm actually trying to think of somebody from video games specifically. Since
I can't think. I think I killed all the people I hated in video games. So
I'm now looking at lists online. This is how I cheat when we do a podcast. Is if I can't think of something, I have to look up a list online. So one of these lists has the dog from Duck Hunt. I'm like, I fucking hate that dog. That dog is pretty shitty. Let's see. God, characters I love to hate. Fuck, man. I don't know. Handsome Jack? Nah, I don't really think much about Handsome Jack. I'm trying to think of really memorable, really characters that I really, really dislike. I'm trying to think of game franchises that I see. I guess
have a feeling that when you play video games, there's someone you really hate. The fact that you have a boss fight with them at the end feels very satisfying when you kill them.
Yeah.
Then if they were to like fizzle out in some other way, then that would stick in your mind.
Yeah, I'm trying to think. I mean, I think the problem here.
What about the bad guy in Red Dead Redemption?
Oh, the government agent?
Yeah.
Man, he was so like. I guess the thing is that that game was so much about John Marsden, and there were so many crappy characters in there. That I don't know that I really got it. I think that's the problem, Nick, is that when I think back to characters that I remember, right? Villains that I remember fondly, they fall into one of two categories for me. Either villains that I really am interested in because they've got a background, right? Because they've got a motivation that you can glom onto, which tends to make you hate them a little bit less, and you just tend to be more fascinated by, oh no, I just know, oh, I just got it, I got another one, I got one, but I'll come back to it in a second. Or they're memorable encounters in a video game. Like I know that there's like some bosses in Dark Souls or something like that I could talk about that I really fucking hate those guys, but I don't love to hate them. I hate hating them, and I love killing them. There's nothing I really like. It's not like I think of a lot of hate. No. I just thought of one. You talk about Game of Thrones, and so it's a little bit of a tie into that. But the dude that plays Theon Greyjoy, his character in John Wick, ooh, that dog-killing motherfucker. I hated him. And
really? He just killed a dog in that movie. I love dogs. I'm obsessed with dogs, but he didn't really stick out. He just seemed like a little punk.
That guy's a dick, and I'm glad that he got what was coming to him.
He got his. Yeah. Anyway, in both shows, he got his.
Yeah, it's funny. You know what? If I think of something, maybe I'll just scream it out on a later podcast. So if later on a video or a podcast or something, I just scream the name of a bad guy in a video game or a movie, you'll know. Other than that, Nick's got a good answer. Nick's got the best answer. Okay, what do you got?
Okay, Mass Effect, that fucking Star Child. When I first played it.
You love to hate him? I just hate that. I just fucking hate.
Oh, sorry. Hey, yeah. You know what? Fuck it. Sorry, I just hated that kid. I was trying to think of people like I really hated in video games. So yeah.
Yeah. All right, so our next one comes in from Vova. Vova says, "Hey, Jeff and Nick, hope you're having an awesome week. I have a question for you fair rage bringers. What do you think of the practice of outsourcing in the video game industry? With recent examples, in parentheses here, PC ports of Mortal Kombat X and Batman Arkham Knight, and not so recent, outsourced battles in Deus Ex Human Revolution, it seems that game development is too big even for a team of 200-plus people. Is game development going to get even worse, or are we going to get more bad ports because of bad management? What do you think? Your loyal fan, Vova." I don't know if this is something that you're super familiar with, Nick, but,
the Arkham Knight not working on PC. Yeah, I remember that.
Well, not necessarily.
My brother got on PC and it didn't work at all. He was saying how they ported it out to another company, which is very, very shitty. I never heard of Steam, pulling back all the games. on there.
Well,
on their store.
that was Warner Brothers, or that was Rocksteady who made that decision, I believe. Like it wasn't Steam that pulled it down.
Yeah.
Because they put out shitty ass unoptimized games before. I mean, I think Vova that it's you know, it's kind of a question that you've got of this pyramid of like, well, not a pyramid, but I think of the best way to describe this is that you can have a game that either takes a very long time to develop to the point where you might actually be releasing a game that's behind your current technology trend if you try to do it all with an in-house team, or you might have a game that costs too much to make where you release it and the amount of money that you spent on making sure that everything is 100% perfect means that you're going to end up with a game that doesn't make enough, you know, even if it's well received, might not make enough money for you to ever see a sequel, or you're going to have bugs like this. I mean, I actually know a few folks here in town that work for a company that does nothing but outsource. I mean, here's a thing that everybody needs to understand about the idea of outsourcing. This shit's been around for a long time, right? That back in the era of the PS3 port of a game would be outsourced to a company and then brought back in, or you'd have a PC game, a PC port of something that would be outsourced and then brought back in. I mean, I even read an article once where they talked about that it's cheaper for companies to outsource their art asset and some of their development to a foreign country and then fix the bad shit that they get back than it is for them to pay somebody to develop it from the ground up correctly, right? It's simpler to get the base and make the shitty version from an overseas contractor and then pay people to fix it than it is to just develop it correctly the first time. And I think that as long as that maintains, I mean, I think that as long as the video game industry, as long as we as a crowd, I mean, Nick, I talk about this all the time, right? And I was talking with somebody last week about this, right? As long as we put up with this shit, it will continue to happen, right? Like,
right.
The Arkham Knight on PC, they didn't get taken down off of Steam because of overwhelming user complaints. It didn't get taken down off of Steam because 90% of the people who bought it demanded a refund through the Steam refund system for a broken game. It got taken down because Rocksteady was trying to do the right thing, and I think that a lot of that, I think it happened because as a bunch, we gamers are just not good at impulse control. Is that I was talking with this? Like I said.
So it's our fault that they fucked up. Oh, okay. I mean, that makes total sense.
Okay, yeah. You know what? It kind of is our fault because here's the thing: this shit's been going on for years. We've been having broken boss fights and bad PC ports or bad PS3 ports or shitty games that have been outsourced. Year after year, like Assassin's Creed Unity and stuff like that. But the thing is that we keep letting this industry do this stuff because I've talked to people before, and no matter what the problem with the last game was, people forget about it. They get excited, and when the game comes out, they run out that day and they buy it. They don't wait for reviews. I mean, some people do. Obviously, some people do. It's not everybody. But by and large, if a company can get pre-orders, that's the thing. That's the thing for me. Is like, in my mind, okay, here's a perfect example, Nick. In my mind, I don't think there's anybody out there. I think there are people out there who say Assassin's Creed Unity isn't as bad as you're saying it is. It's still bad. I don't think that there's anybody out there who's just like super championing Assassin's Creed Unity. I mean, obviously, this is the internet. There's somebody, right? But most of the people I talk to about Assassin's Creed Unity are just like, that game was straight up garbage. It was bad. Fuck that game, right? If that's the case, Assassin's Creed Syndicate, the next one in the series, we should all lock arms together and go, nobody's going to pre-order this shit. Nobody's going to pre-order this game. We're not going to guarantee that you're going to get the sales figures off of this pre-order. We're also not going to buy the game the day it comes out. We're all going to sit back, except for the people that are reviewing it or doing Let's Plays or whatever, and we're going to wait and see if the game is any good before we all run out in droves and put our money down for it. Because and I'm not talking like a month, right? I'm not talking about waiting for a year for the Game of the Year edition to come out. I'm talking about waiting for like 3 days, Nick, I'm not even talking about waiting 3 days. I think it would be a step in the right direction if we didn't put down our money ahead of time. if people didn't pre-order a game that was from a studio that already had burned them for something, right? Like,
Right.
I mean, that's
Are you going to be like that when Metal Gear Solid Phantom Pain comes out?
no. Well, okay. Here's the thing. Metal Gear.
Or are we talking about specifically games that have burnt us in the past?
That's what I'm talking about. Metal Gear Solid. Okay, so Ground Zeroes definitely was fan service, right? I'm going to say that I think that anybody who's not a fan of the Metal Gear games, that thing was a demo, and I also have some problems with the way that it was put out. I gave it a pretty high score. I think that if you don't take the money to time into account for it, that you can. But that's a problem on my part, that I have a hard time equating how much a thing is worth based on how much time it's worth. What I'm talking about is companies like Activision or like EA or like Ubisoft or blah 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 blah, companies that have done you wrong. So here's the thing, okay. It isn't the same team, but if you want to make this isn't fully analogous, and this is full of holes, and it's totally arguable. Anybody on the internet could argue me to the ground. Nick, you could argue me to the ground with this, right? Warner Brothers produced Batman Arkham Knight. Batman Arkham Knight came out on the PC and it was broken. If that's the case, the next Warner Brothers game coming out this year is, I think, Mad Max, right? Why don't we wait? Why don't you wait and see whether Mad Max, when it comes out, is good or not? Watch some YouTube videos. Look for some reviews of people, professional reviewers.
But Jeff,
do this.
This is not a routine thing, though. With Arkham Knight, I mean, Assassin's Creed, absolutely.
Right.
They've been sucking more and more as the games have progressed.
Sure.
But I've never heard of a huge AAA game coming out where the PC game doesn't work at all.
I mean, I think
maybe Diablo didn't Diablo 3 have problems connecting online or something?
Yeah, it had to be online all the time. The day that it came out, the servers crashed. You couldn't get online. You couldn't play it.
Okay,
but
it's unusual though.
No, but here's the thing: is that I've seen cases on the PC. This is the thing: is if you're talking about PC stuff, there's different. Okay, there's different issues for each platform, right? For the PC, a lot of times you'll get a bad, unoptimized PC version of the game that comes out that then needs a bunch of patches to get running well. But I guess I don't even want to go into specifics. What I'm saying is that I think, as a whole, gamers from top to bottom would have more clout for demanding things from the video game industry if we were all together, stand together and say, we are not going to pre-order games. We're not going to buy a season pass the first day it comes out. We're going to wait and see if your game is any good before we buy it. Because the thing is that as long as everybody goes out the first day that whatever game comes out and buys it, then the game industry has no reason to make sure that it works correctly. I mean, look at Assassin's Creed Unity. They never took that down, even though it was all fucked up and broken. They patched it for 6 months. And, I don't know. I just get into the thing where people say, that there should be blah, 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 that the game should be of higher quality. And you say, but if you were a company and every time you put out a broken game, it still sold really well, what incentive do you have to do the right thing? What incentive do you have to do the right thing for your fans if they're just going to buy your shit regardless of what you do? So, yeah. And at the very least, season passes, Nick. Come on. Wait for the first piece of content to come out. Read a review for it. Season passes don't go up in price later on. And I understand there's some people out there who pre-order stuff so they have their shit locked down and their money is spent. They can't spend it on other stuff. Okay, I understand that. But on the other hand, I mean, fuck, man. It really upsets me when people put down their money ahead of time because there's no other industry that would make you do that, and I don't like it.
No, we've been doing it for so long. I don't do it anymore. The last game I bought was The Witcher 3, but then CD Projekt Red are the only video game company that I kind of trust.
Yeah.
When they say that they're going to release something, I know that they're going to do it the best that they possibly can. I think they are the best gaming company out there.
Yeah, absolutely. All right, we got one more question. Nick, it's very late for you, and as we tended to go on today quite a bit. So we got one more
Well, it's
question.
because we're catching up, that's why.
Yeah, from Andre from Ecuador, who writes in, who says, "Hello to all those blessed by the sticky glory of the mighty Don Clays. This is Andre from Ecuador. I have a question specific for Jeff, but Nick can also answer it. Jeff, we all
nice.
know you hate spiders, so if someone, let's call him Mason Jerfy, would create a genetically modified spider whose sole purpose is to terrify you, how would that spider look? Would it be a combination of different spiders? Would it have other insect or animal parts? Would it be a spider lady who wants to bone and eat you? Thank you for answering this silly question. Keep it fucking classy, Andre from Ecuador." Okay, what would my most terrifying spider be? It could be hairy. Hairy spiders don't bother me. And once a spider gets over a certain size, like once you get into like the size of a Shelob type spider, right? Then my brain just starts calling it big monster. So it's like, about as
it doesn't freak you out as much. Is that what you're saying?
It freaks me out a bit, but just not as much as I'll be honest, like every time that a video game tries to make a spider more terrifying, like they put a face on it or they make it big or they make it a Tim Curry or whatever it is they're trying to do with it, it ends up being less terrifying to me. In fact, in Bloodborne, they have some spiders that are just like blah, blah, ha, 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 ha. And you know what they look like? Just big spiders, like spiders the size of like a large dog, right? And I'm just like, blah, blah, blah. Because they look like regular old spiders, and regular spiders are what terrify me more than anything else. A lady with a spider body that was trying to have sex with me would have to be a hell of a good-looking lady. Like, we're talking, like, hypnotically good-looking, I guess, because it would be difficult for me to forget the fact that there's spider parts on her, which kind of flip my my button about. I have this question all the time, Nick, where Jason's like, well, what would you do if you were in a room with this person and they wanted to have sex with you and it was really terrible? And I'm like, Jason, you realize I have to be able to become aroused enough to get an erection, right? So
that's okay. Here's some Viagra. You'll be fine.
That's right. There's a giant spider lady who's like, "Ooh, Jeff, I'm so into you. Let's have sex." And I'd be like, "Yeah, I'm afraid that your spider body has me as soft as a brie that's been in the sun. Like I can't. It's all just cottage cheese down there, and I'm not going to be able to do anything with it because you're part spider, woman. Like I can't do anything with that."
Well, if it helps, you wouldn't have been able to have sex with her anyway, since she's half spider.
Well, maybe it's just like her.
I mean, you could jack off on her eggs or something, but that's about it.
Okay. That's sexy right there. No, I'll tell you guys. When I was a kid, we used to go up to this museum. I think it was in Tennessee. It's like a natural history museum, right? And it was a thing that we would go to visit my grandparents, and we would go there, and everything was all super awesome. And they had, though, in this one part, they had just it was like a case, it was like a 2 foot, call it 2.5 foot square cube, right? No, maybe 3. Maybe I was just young. It was probably 2.5. And inside was a model, and the model was a black widow spider, but it was blown up to the point where it would fit in this 2 foot by 2 foot cube, and maybe 3 feet by 3 feet cube, right? So this giant black widow spider, and it was a model, right? That thing terrified the ever-loving shit out of me. Like, I could, it was great because you go to this museum and there was like, oh, let's play in the tree, and here's the saltwater pool where you could shove your hand in as a little kid and just touch sea anemones and spiky things and little sea slugs and stuff, right? And here's the planetarium. You can see the cosmos, and then but stay away from that corner because there's a fuck-off scary spider that's giant over there. And then you close your eyes to go to sleep at night, and all you can see after all that fun is a giant spider. So... yeah, I
never would have figured you as terrified of spiders.
Pretty terrified. I generally do not enjoy them. I think that people tend to get a little bit tend to overblow. I'm not like, you remember that that girl on the talk show when they showed her like some pickles or something, and she was like screaming and trying to get under a bed or whatever. Like, I'm cognizant enough of my own fear that when there's a spider outside and I see it, I go, ugh, and walk around it, right? I don't like, break down onto the ground and start crying. Or if I find one in my house, I don't go, ah. But generally speaking, if it's a choice between spider yes and spider no, I go with spider no because not really a big deal. Strangely, no problem with any bug. I'd let a emperor beetle or a cockroach walk all over me. I don't give a fuck about bugs. I'd prefer that they not bite me. I have like 3 nests of wasps in my backyard. I don't even fucking care. I don't deal with them. They don't deal with me. It's fine. Whatever.
Wasps bug the shit out of me. I mean, I actually prefer spiders to like mosquitoes or whatever because I know that they eat the other bugs.
Yeah.
But
yeah. I mean, do you don't have any? Do you have any problems with spiders? You want to?
No.
Do you have a nightmare spider scenario that you'd like to
No.
share with people? No.
No, not really. I mean, like, I'm kind of weird. The animals that freak me out are cats. I don't know what it is about cats, but they're so.
Cat?
Don't laugh, Matt.
Oh,
I'm
sorry.
Okay, cats are the freakiest fucking things, and I can't understand why people like them so much, especially girls.
Why? Why are they freaky to you?
Because I remember I used to spend my summer holidays in France, and I was like the neighbor's cat was this vicious little fucker that would chase after me, and specifically to like bite, but it wouldn't just be like. It would like grab my hand with its claw and then bite really hard, or like hold on to my leg and bite.
Jesus,
and not let go. So like I just fucking hate cats. And I was watching the other night with my girlfriend a program on BBC4, something called Psycho Pussies, which is like about these...
Wait, what? Why did you... We're about to end the podcast, and just now you're telling me about the Psycho Pussies? Damn, dude.
It was just a program about like the world's craziest cats. And my girlfriend loves cats to bits. So she's showing me pictures of cats on her phone. She's like, "Oh, isn't he cute? Isn't that adorable?" I'm like, "I don't care. But if it's a picture of a dog, then I'll go nuts." So she's showing me Psycho Pussies of like these cats like adoring being adored by the female in the family,
right?
By the girls and the mother,
right?
But going after the man in the house, like going after his feet and biting like really, really hard,
right?
And I have to like tell her, it's like, I'm sorry, I can't watch this. It's just like freaking me out. Okay.
Have you ever seen the movie the Tommy Knockers? Is that like the most horrifying horror movie you've ever seen in your life? Is it Tommy Knockers? Is that the one where the lady, they're like cat people, or cat people? The movie Cat People, about people who turn into cats? Have you ever seen that movie? Jesus. I'm sorry.
No. Like tigers and lions don't freak me out for some reason. But it's just these little things running around on the ground.
Just house cats?
Yeah, just house cats, because they're unpredictable. The fact that they go from 1 minute to being like really cute and cuddly, and then they get bored of you, and then they just like lunge at you. Like my girlfriend keeps pushing for us to get a cat, and I say no, unless it's one of those rare breeds that act like dogs. I think Burmese cats are the closest cats that act like dogs, or Abyssinians. But any other cat, I just because they're unpredictable, that's what freaks me out. Whereas with like all these other dangerous animals, you know that they're going to come after you no matter what.
Now I just want to point out for just a moment before we leave here, Nick, before we're done with folks, that that you could beat a cat in a fight, right? Like a house cat comes at you with an intent to.
You can beat a fucking spider in a fight. It's not even a fight, Jeff. You just need to step on it.
Well, no, I know that, but the spiders, they come and you eat them in your sleep, or they sting you when you're not. They're stealthy. Cats just like they'll get all up in your face, and that people, generally speaking, don't keep spiders as pets. Like, I mean, tarantulas maybe, but I'm not even really afraid of tarantulas. They're pretty harmless. It's mostly just the little fucking venomous spiders that are a problem. So yeah. Oh my God! I found a 40-minute video. This guy. Oh my God! Yep. There's a cat. Oh yeah, these cats are attacking. This Psycho Pussies with cats attack. I gotta start watching this show. This show looks incredible. It's just cats.
Are you kidding me?
No, it's cats being assholes. It's just it goes further towards my whole why dogs are awesome and cats are total garbage dick.
Dickheads.
So yeah,
Absolutely, yeah.
cats don't give a
because
fuck.
I've been bitten by dogs many times, and it doesn't faze me one bit. Like, I'm just like, whatever. But for some reason, the cats, like, they're really vicious when they go for you.
Yeah,
you
no,
know?
it's like they're trying. I mean, they don't have the ability as a tiny house cat to actually kill you, right? They've got.
I bet if they could, they would.
But they're
That's what I'm
trying.
thinking.
They're trying as hard as they can to actually kill you.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, that's Yep, cats indeed. Okay, well there you go. So Nick's worst nightmare is half cat lady who just bites the shit out of him. Well, all right, that's our show for today. Nick, you want to give them the best way to get to History Buffs on Facebook? It's facebook.com/History Buffs London.
Yes, that's right. Yeah. So it's www.facebook.com/History Buffs London.
Okay.
Because some other dickhead took History Buffs and they don't do anything with that name.
You should run them off the Facebook. As always, mail@rageselect.com is the email address for the show. And if you guys have questions, send them in. Send us your greatest psycho pussy stories. I just want to change the name of this podcast now. I think that's the greatest name I've ever heard. Welcome to the Psycho Pussy Podcast here on Rage Select. It works perfectly. It's perfect. I love it. Send your questions in. We'll catch you next time.